Chapter 494. Repeat. Xianxia goes to prison _1. Out of helplessness, Mo Qixin could only accept it. Only then did old Master Mo feel satisfied. At this moment, Mo Baichuan walked in from outside and respectfully greeting, Grandpa, Grandma, sixth uncle. Chuan is back. Old Madame Mo greeted with a beaming smile. Are you tired? Have you eaten yet? I have eaten. Mo Baichuan answered, turning to head upstairs. The incident with Xianxia seemed to have had little effect on Mo Baichuan. He went about his daily routine as usual, work, eat, but compared to before he was much more reticent. He wore a stern face all day as if someone owed him a huge sum of money. Watching Mo Baichuan's figure disappear up to the third floor, old Madame Mo heaved a sigh. Old Master Mo also looked a little upset. If it weren't for them, Mo Baichuan wouldn't have experienced all this. They owed their eldest grandson an apology. Mom, Dad, don't blame yourselves over this matter. Mo Qixin walked over, wrapping an arm around old Master Mo and old Madame Mo's shoulders. Ultimately, Mo Baichuan was also to blame for this. He had shunned their advice, stubbornly trusting Xianxia. Before the wedding, Mo Qixin had specifically advised Mo Baichuan. June 23rd. The day National College entrance examination results were announced. In the era without internet, one had to personally go to school to check the results. Early in the morning, the campus was packed with students who had come to check their results, and Li Wei was one of them. Li Wei. The homeroom teacher walked up to Li Wei beaming. Teacher Yin. Teacher Yin continued, Li Wei, congratulations. You scored an impressive 510 marks in the college entrance examination. The total score for the college entrance examination was 650 points. Scoring 510 points was indeed quite remarkable. This was, after all, the 1980s. Everyone who managed to get into college was considered exceptional. Moreover, a score of 510 points was enough to pass the first-tier college cutoff. Li Wei certainly had a promising future ahead. However, Li Wei was a bit disappointed. Only 510 points. He had originally planned to apply for a 985 top-notch university, but with this score he couldn't even meet the cutoff for 211 universities, and would only manage a regular first-tier college, let alone a top-tier one. Yang scored a high 645 points in the previous transfer student examination. How was he to compete with Yang? For the college entrance examination, Li Wei had put in enormous effort, barely eating or sleeping for 2 months straight. But the result was that he scored 135 points less than Yang. If Yang's score was considered for the college entrance examination, she could choose any prestigious university in the country, and could even go to a reputed university abroad. No. He had worked so hard, how could it be that he was outdone by a self-taught individual? Li Wei was very upset as he asked, Teacher Yin, who had the best score in our class? Teacher Yin replied, the college examination paper was too difficult this time. The highest scorer in our class is you. The top scorer in our school is Wu Dajuan from class 16, who scored 599 points. Upon hearing this, Li Wei felt even worse. He and Wu Dajuan were elementary school classmates. Back then, Wu Dajuan didn't have good grades and frequently failed Chinese and mathematics. Unexpectedly, he was outperformed by Wu Dajuan in the college entrance examination. Feeling guilty, Li Wei said, I'm sorry, Teacher Yin. I didn't do well this time and failed your expectations. Teacher Yin smiled and said, No. Li Wei, you've done well enough. Li Wei had always been his promising student. A score of 510 was within Teacher Yin's expectations, indicating that Li Wei hadn't performed poorly. Moreover, the examination paper this time was particularly difficult. Li Wei then asked, Oh yes, Teacher Yin, can I see the test paper from the last transfer student examination? Why would you want to see that? Teacher Yin was puzzled. Li Wei said, A friend of mine wants to take the transfer student examination next year, so I wanted to show him this year's questions. Teacher Yin nodded, Oh, I see. Then come with me. Li Wei followed Teacher Yin's footsteps. There were a few teachers chatting in the office. One of them asked, Hey old Su, why haven't we seen that dark horse from your class lately? Teacher Su asked, You mean Yang? Yes, her. Teacher Su smiled. That child has a special family situation, so she doesn't come to school on regular days, only showing up for examinations. Teacher Wang looked surprised. Does not attending school still qualify one as a student? Old Su, isn't this child overly arrogant? Does she think that just because she ranked first in the transfer student examination she doesn't need to attend school? The pen is mightier than the brain, you know. Another teacher said, N.I. Yang is a student with great potential. Old Su, you must pay close attention to her. We must not let such a promising student who can get into a top college go to waste. Chapter 495. Repeat, Xianxia goes to prison _2. Teacher Wang nodded, I know what I'm doing. Teacher Yin walked in with Li Wei, and Li Wei heard all the conversation inside. He also thought that N.I. Yang was too arrogant. How could one not come to school for classes? Teacher Su, can you lend me the exam paper of N.I. Yang, the transfer student from your class last time? Teacher Yin came to Teacher Zu's desk with Li Wei. Sure. As Teacher Su was searching for the exam paper, he asked, What do you need it for? Teacher Yin replied with a smile, A friend of Li Wei in our class is planning to take the transfer examination next year, so he wants to see the exam paper. A teacher immediately remarked, Teacher Yin, Li Wei from your class did a good job. 510 marks would be enough for him to get into a key university. Li Wei, congratulations. Thank you, Teacher Zhao. Li Wei, who was feeling down, didn't have any smile on his face. However, the other teachers interpreted his expression as proof of his ability to stay calm and not show off despite his exceptional performance. Teacher Zhao patted Yin's shoulder and said earnestly, The transfer student introduced by Li Wei should not be bad. Teacher Yin, you must take this opportunity. Don't let what happened with N.I. Yang happen again. All the teachers in the office felt heartbroken for Teacher Zhang Chong for missing out on a potential key university student. Teacher Yin laughed and said, I will be teaching new first-year students next term, so the transfer students won't have much to do with me. Teacher Wang immediately chimed in, I am going to teach third years next year, so Li Wei, do tell me about the academic performance of your friend joining as a transfer student. Li Wei casually said, Their grades are average and should be able to pass the exam. Upon hearing this, Teacher Wang lost most of his enthusiasm. He needed a dark horse. At this moment, Teacher Su found N.I. Yang's paper. The paper consisted of 8 sections. All the answers for mathematics, English, history, chemistry, and biology were correct. Then, N.I. Yang lost 3 marks for a fill-in-the-blank question in the Chinese section, and lost 1 mark each in political science and physics, scoring a total of 645 marks. In addition, her handwriting was neat, making the paper tidy and pleasant to inspect. Teacher Su handed the paper to Li Wei and lamented, N.I. Yang's foundation is solid. It's a pity that she lost 3 marks for the fill-in-the-blank question in the Chinese section. Normally, more mistakes are made in reading comprehension. It is rare to see mistakes like N.I. Yang's in fill-in-the-blank questions. After all, answers to fill-in-the-blank questions usually come from rote learning and can be mastered with some effort. Thank you, Teacher Su. Li Wei expressed his gratitude, then asked, Teacher Su, may I take this paper home for my friend to study? Teacher Su readily agreed, You may. Li Wei thanked him again. Teacher Su nodded. After Li Wei left, he kept praising Li Wei for his maturity to Teacher Yin. Meanwhile, as soon as Li Wei got home, Li Dongliang and Qian Jinfeng rushed over to greet him. Xiaowei, how did you do in your exam? 510 marks, Li Wei answered gloomily. 510 marks. Li Dongliang and Qian Jinfeng were both overjoyed at the news. Li Dongliang asked, Is this score enough to get into a key university? Xiaowei, which school are you planning to apply to? To get into a key university. At that time, even a fresh graduate from an ordinary university could secure a secure job. 3 generations of the Li family were all farmers. Li Dongliang never dreamed that his family could produce a university student. It was like good luck had struck the ancestral grave. Qian Jinfeng could not contain her smile. Xiaowei, where is your report card? Let me see it quickly. Li Wei handed over his report card to Qian Jinfeng, and then turned around to go into the room. Li Dongliang and Qian Jinfeng held the score report, 510 marks. It's really 510 marks. I'm not dreaming. Our son is really incredible. The couple went around showing off their son's report card to their neighbors and discussed when to host a celebration party. For an ordinary family, producing a college student was a big deal and it was worth celebrating. Li Wei carefully examined N.I. Yang's paper in his room. He found that the transfer student exam was quite easy. If he had taken the exam, his score would not have been lower than N.I. Yang's. So he made a bold decision. He decided to forego his current college entrance exam score and choose to retake the exam. With his current performance, if he repeated a year, his score next year would definitely top N.I. Yang's and he might even become the top scorer in the college entrance exam. Before meeting N.I. Yang, Li Wei would have been satisfied with his score of 510. but after meeting Ni Yang he was no longer satisfied with a 510. Chapter 496. Repeat, Xianxia goes to prison _3. Ni Yang's various conditions are all superior to his. If his grades can't surpass Ni Yang's, then what face does he have to stand with Ni Yang? They all say that a girl's IQ will decline after a certain age. By the time Ni Yang takes the college entrance exam next year, she will be 19 years old. At that time she will definitely not surpass him. So he must choose to repeat a year. Only then can he outdo Ni Yang. Li Wei put down his exam paper and walked downstairs. In the living room, Li Dongliang was discussing with Chen Jinfeng about when to throw a party. Dad, Mom. What's wrong, son? Chen Jinfeng asked with concern. Do you want to eat something? Let Mom cook it for you. No. Li Wei shook his head and then said, Dad, Mom, I don't think I did well on this exam. I might have underperformed. Li Dongliang laughed and said, Xiao Wei. I have asked around, you scored the highest in our whole street. The neighbor Wang Long only scored a little over 390 points, which is not even enough to be placed in the 4th class. He can barely get into a 3rd-tier university. Absolutely. Chen Jinfeng chimed in. Your cousin also took the exam this year. I called your aunt and asked. He only scored a little over 300 points too. I heard the exam was particularly difficult this year. We are overjoyed that you scored 510 points. Describing Li Wei as the golden phoenix of the Li family is not an exaggeration at all. Li Wei said very seriously, Dad, Mom, I've made up my mind. I want to retake the exam. I hope you can support me. What? Li Dongliang thought he was hallucinating. I want to retake the exam. Li Wei emphasized each word. Chen Jinfeng touched Li Wei's forehead. Son, do you have a fever? That's more than 500 points after all. A score that most people cannot reach. Repeating a year sounds easy. If luck isn't on his side, he may not even get 510 points. That would be really embarrassing. Li Wei said very firmly, Mom, I don't have a fever. I'm very clear-headed. I want to retake the exam. Why? Li Dongliang asked. Chen Jinfeng was also looking at Li Wei with great anticipation. Li Wei continued, because my ideal score is above 620 points, and my desired universities are Tsinghua University and Beijing University. Mom, Dad, please support my decision to retake the exam. No, I don't agree. Li Dongliang disagreed. For Li Dongliang, just being able to attend a 1st-tier university was very satisfying. There was absolutely no need to retake the exam for a 985 project university. Mom doesn't agree either. It's a waste of time and tuition to repeat a year. What if you fail the exam? Won't that make our family the laughingstock? For Chen Jinfeng that seemed like too much of a risk, so she refused. Moreover, at this time there was no tuition-free policy. To repeat senior 3-year, it would cost 200 yuan for tuition and textbooks, not to mention other miscellaneous expenses. With these 200 yuan, wouldn't it be better spent on buying big spare ribs for dinner? This hardware store run by the Li family had an annual income of less than 3,000 yuan. Mom, Dad, with 510 points I can only attend an average 1st-tier university. After graduation I won't even be able to find a good job. But 985 project universities are different. With a degree from these institutions, I can get a job in a government department immediately after graduation. Isn't the aim of your supporting me through my education so that I can have a good future? This remark slightly swayed Li Dongliang, as those working in government departments are all officials. Looking back 3 generations in the Li family, none of them have ever been officials. If Li Wei could become a high-ranking official, wouldn't that be prestigious? Li Dongliang continued, Xiao Wei, what if you don't get into a 985 project university? I won't fail. Li Wei continued, with my score of 510 as a foundation, and repeating another year of senior 3, how could I possibly fail? Dad, you don't need to worry about this at all. What Li Wei said made sense. Chen Jinfeng asked, what if the exam questions are harder next year? Li Wei laughed, Mom, you don't need to worry about that at all either. Our teacher said that this year had the hardest exam questions in the past 3 years, and next year won't be harder than this year. Also, I will continue to study during this repeating year. Even if I perform worse, my score will absolutely not be lower than 510 points. After wavering for a long time, the couple consented to retake the exam, swayed by Li Wei's persuasion. Upon hearing the news of Li Wei's decision to retake the exam, even teacher Yin was quite surprised, but Li Wei insisted on retaking the exam, so he could only respect his choice. Because no one took care of the hospitalization fee, Li Xianxian was forced to discharge herself from the hospital. Chapter 497. Repeat, Li Xianxian goes to prison _4. She was walking on the bustling street, her face pale. She refused to accept it, she was extremely reluctant to accept it. Ever since her rebirth, her life had been getting better and better. She went from being a simple village girl to being a student at Beijing Normal University. She had even almost married Mo Baichuan. Nobody knew how much effort she had put into getting here. But what about now? Dumped by Mo Baichuan. Expelled from school. Exposed by the literary world for plagiarism. Now she had lost everything. All her accomplishments had disappeared overnight. The more Li Xianxian thought about it, the more unwilling she was to accept things as they were. Her features twisted in bitterness. She wanted to commit suicide, but she also refused to die just like that. Why would she be the one who had to die alone? If she had to die, she needed to pull someone else down with her. The person responsible for her current condition was Yang. She planned to make Yang die alongside her. Li Xianxian clenched her fists hidden inside her sleeves. She was exerting so much strength that her knuckles were already white, the nails sinking deep into her flesh. Today was the grand opening of Yang's third noodle restaurant and milk tea shop. So Yang was busy helping at the new establishment. The third restaurant and tea shop was located in a different district of Beijing, more than 30 kilometers away from the first and second restaurants and tea shops. Despite it being the first day of operation for the new shop, the good pre-opening promotion and the significant opening day discounts managed to attract a crowd of noodle lovers. Li Xianxian, after moving about, finally arrived at the noodle restaurant. Looking through the glass window, she saw Yang busily moving about inside. Yang was wearing a simple outfit of a white shirt and black pants, her hair tied up in a bun. Her attire was extremely simple, but it was enough to make people stop and take notice. She was truly beautiful. Li Xianxian had known of Yang's beauty since her previous life. When Li Xianxian met Yang was already in her 50s, but her face didn't show any signs of age. Maybe that's why he was attracted to her. He had done everything to get Yang's attention. Despite Li Xianxian's relentless efforts to please him, she couldn't get even a glance in return. Just looking at Yang made Li Xianxian seethe with jealousy and resentment. Why was Yang able to live such a good life now? She had a business, a relationship, and was even about to marry into the Mo family. Even though Mo Qixin was a loser, after Yang married him, she would be living with Mo Baichuan. If Yang discovered later that Mo Baichuan was Mr. Mog, Yang surely wouldn't hesitate to be with him shamelessly. No way. What Li Xianxian couldn't get, others shouldn't be able to either. Yang must die with her. Li Xianxian squinted her eyes, turning towards a pawn shop on the side of the street, intending to pawn her gold bracelet. The design of Yang's new noodle restaurant and milk tea shop was very innovative. Like in the future, the menu even had pictures of the dishes. The attractive-looking bubble milk tea, tempting pickled fish noodles, and Kanto stew with a layer of red oil floating on top were all so eye-catching that anyone who saw them couldn't resist ordering. "Young lady, is this pickled vegetable noodles really as tasty as it's made out to be?" a customer who had come from afar asked. Yang smiled and said, "You'll know once you try. I can't guarantee anything else, but I'm sure the taste of pickled vegetable noodles won't disappoint you." The customer was a straightforward person. "Fine. Just for your words, I have to try it today. Give me a bowl of pickled vegetable noodles, a sour plum soup and a Kanto stew. Oh, and please replace the duck's blood in the Kanto stew with tofu." To make purchasing ingredients easier, the 6 ingredients in the Kanto stew were fixed. It included baby cabbage, shrimp, fish balls, enoki mushrooms, duck's blood and tofu skin. Since many people did not eat blood, tofu was the alternative option available. Yang took a small notebook and wrote down the order, asking, "Any food allergies or preferences? Do you eat onions, ginger and garlic?" "No allergies, just serve the food directly." "All right." Yang nodded. "Please wait a moment." Yang's gaze drifted over the window as she turned around to go to the kitchen, handing the menu to Aunt Lu, who was in charge of cooking the noodles. Aunt Lu and other employees of the shop were all recruited directly from Jianghu village, so Yang trusted them. "Brother Mo." Yang approached Mo Qixin, who was carrying plates of food. Yang, what's up?" Mo Qixin lifted his gaze slightly. "I need to talk to you about something." "Go ahead." Chapter 498. Repeat, Li Xianxian goes to prison _5. Yang said, Bend your waist a little. Imo was too tall. And Yang, with her nearly 1.75-meter height, only reached his shoulder. In modern terms, it was quite an adorable height difference. Okay. Imo bent his lip, squatted slightly so he was even shorter than Yang. Yang just needed to stretch her hand out to pat his head. Yang easily leaned in to whisper in his ear. Hearing this, Imo frowned and said, "No, it's too dangerous to do that." Yang took the tray from him, placed it aside, and pulled him towards the courtyard. The courtyard was an open space of around 10 square meters with a few flower pots. Among them was one with blooming jasmine, filling the air with their fragrance as a gentle breeze passed. "Brother Imo, don't worry. I will protect myself. All you need to do is cooperate with me." "No." Imo still refused. "What about this way?" Yang stood on her toes to give him a quick peck. "No, I can't let you take such a risk." Imo still refused. Yang took his hand. "Brother Imo, this little thing isn't dangerous at all for me. Can you just help me once? Just once?" Imo pressed his thin lips together without saying a word. Then Yang continued, "If you don't help me, I might have to find someone else." Imo thin lips moved slightly. "Actually, you don't need to take this risk. I can find other ways. I want to use my own way." Yang cut him off determinedly. Imo hesitated a bit. Yang continued, "Brother Imo, I know you're concerned about my safety, but don't worry. I know my limits. I won't let myself get hurt at all." But, as Imo was about to say something, Yang stood on her tiptoes and silenced the rest of his words with a kiss. The air went silent for a second. Then Imo took control, wrapping his arm around her waist. His palm was somehow burning, yet his lips were cool. About 5 minutes later, he calmly let go of her and straightened his collar. "You need to be careful." "Yeah." Yang nodded. "Don't worry about this. Let's go out." Yang grabbed his hand. Imo held his breath for a moment. "You go ahead, I need to go to the bathroom." "Okay, I'll go first." The bathroom was small but well-equipped and clean, with a toilet and a shower. After a while, Imo came out of the bathroom. "Brother Imo, did you take a shower?" Yang noticed that his hair seemed a bit wet. "No." Imo looked calm and explained, "The bathroom was too hot." "Oh." Yang nodded. At around 7:30 in the evening, the noodle restaurant closed on time. Yang was the last one to leave. Since little Yun's birthday was soon, she planned to go to the vegetable market. A figure was stealthily following her. Just as Yang walked into a deserted alley, sharp pain shot up her neck. Then everything went black as she slipped into unconsciousness. When Yang woke up again, her hands and feet were tightly bound with ropes, unable to move. A rotten smell filled her nostrils. Where was this? Yang tried to struggle, but the knots only tightened with her movements. Is anyone there? At that moment, the tightly shut door was pushed open from the outside, bright light flooding in. Yang realized she was in an old, abandoned house whose better days were long past. "Who are you? What do you want?" Fear seeped into Yang's voice. "Umph." A cold snort sounded through the air. "Yang, I thought you were tough. Turns out you're just as scared of death as everyone else." "Xianxia?" Yang squinted her eyes. Xianxia was wearing a fancy dress, her face adorned with delicate makeup. She didn't look like someone who had just suffered a setback at all. "What do you want?" Yang took a step backward. Xianxia stopped in front of Yang and pulled out a sharp kitchen knife from somewhere. "Yang, you stole everything from me. What do you think I want to do?" "I stole everything from you?" Yang squinted again. "Xianxia, weren't you the one who almost ruined my life? Li Shu is your mother, both of you conspired to marry me off to that eunuch. You even nearly killed my mom. Marrying the eunuch was your good luck. If you had complied back then, maybe you'd even live a bit longer. But now you're nothing but a short-lived ghost." Li Xianxian's expression instantly turned ferocious. If Yang hadn't fled Dam Village and married that eunuch, maybe she would already be married to Imo Baichuan. All because of Yang. Yang destroyed everything she had. "What do you want to do?" "Kill you." Xianxian stated word by word. "Murder is illegal." Yang frowned slightly. Xianxian chuckled. "I'm not even afraid of death, why would I fear the law? But don't worry, I won't let you die so quickly. Before that, I'll carve up your face with this knife so I don't have to look at your disgusting face." With that, Xianxian raised her kitchen knife and stabbed at Yang's hand. Ai Yang's eyes reflected the image of that kitchen knife. In the blink of an eye, Ai Yang suddenly stood up, raising her right foot and kicking the knife away. Clang! Xianxia didn't expect Ai Yang to have such a move up her sleeve. She immediately ran over to pick up the knife and stabbed again in Ai Yang's direction. Ai Yang's hands were still tied behind her. She could only defend, not attack. Xianxia was enraged. She was like a raging wild beast whose only intent was to kill Ai Yang. Ai Yang quickly calculated the timing, and just as Xianxia's knife was about to hit her, she sidestepped. The kitchen knife grazed past her waist, instantly staining her white t-shirt with blood. At this moment, the door was violently kicked open from the outside. A dozen policemen in uniform charged in. Freeze, police! Xianxia was now completely blinded by rage. She couldn't even see the police. Ai Yang, I'm going to kill you. Yang. Mo Qixin suddenly rushed over, pulled Ai Yang away and deflected Xianxia's kitchen knife. At the same time, the police officers managed to subdue Xianxia. Mo Qixin, his hand covered in blood, panicked. His voice trembled, Yang. Ai Yang slowly opened her eyes and winked at Mo Qixin. What a joke. She wasn't stupid. How could she let Xianxia injure her? Just now, Ai Yang deliberately avoided the critical area, so although it seemed like she lost a lot of blood, she was not seriously hurt. In fact, Ai Yang spotted Xianxia's cruel face at the noodle restaurant. Since she couldn't kill Xianxia without facing the consequences, she had to trap her instead. Once captured, she wouldn't have to worry about Xianxia anymore. Otherwise, leaving Xianxia in the world made Ai Yang feel uneasy. Attempted murder and kidnapping might not carry a death sentence, but a crime involving bloodshed could be different, particularly since Xianxia was still shouting about killing her even when the police arrived. Seeing Ai Yang wink at him, Mo Qixin breathed a sigh of relief. He turned to the policeman and said, Officers, I'm taking my girlfriend to the hospital first. Please ensure justice is served for her. Rest assured. Mo Qixin took Ai Yang to the hospital where the doctor bandaged her and suggested that she stay for observation for a few days. Hearing this news, Ai Tsuehua was terrified. Holding little Ai Yun, she hurried to the hospital, her eyes red from crying. Yang, are you okay? Several villagers from Jianghu village also arrived with her. Chapter 499. Xianxia was sentenced to death. The boss is a straight male _1. Everyone was very worried when they heard that Ai Yang had an accident, so they came with Ai Tsuehua. Even little Ai Yun, who was always naughty and talkative, became quiet today and didn't ask Ai Yang for hugs anymore. Ai Yang, wearing blue and white striped hospital pajamas, looked somewhat pale, but her spirit was strong. She smiled and said, Mom, I'm fine, don't worry. Uncle Datu, Auntie Chow, Grandma Lin, Uncle Lu, thank you all for taking the trouble to come. Not trouble at all, Yang, what happened to you? We heard from the police that someone bullied you, is that it? Yang, tell us quickly who that bastard is. We will all seek justice for you. That's right. Yang, you tell us who that person is. You don't need to be scared. Well, kill that turtle's grandson. Several people rolled up their sleeves looking ready to fight. Daring to bully Ai Yang. That's like going against the whole Jianghu village, isn't it? Seeing everyone so concerned about Ai Yang, Mo Qixin's eyes revealed a trace of warmth. It was clear that their concern was genuine, and they cared deeply for Ai Yang. Ai Yang smiled and said, Thank you everyone, I really am fine now. Moreover, the bad guy has been caught by the police. Hearing Ai Yang say this, the group finally let out a sigh of relief. The ward was a VIP one with a sofa and armchairs, very spacious, and sitting a dozen people was not a problem. Everyone stayed in the ward chatting with Ai Yang. Around noon, Mo Qixin took everyone out to eat. Only Ai Tsuehua and Ai Yang, and little Ai Yun were left in the ward. Ai Tsuehua took Ai Yang's hand and asked, Yang, what exactly happened? Patting Ai Kuihua's hand, Ai Yang said, Mom, the person who wanted to kill me is called Sun Dalian. Kill. When Ai Tsuehua heard this word, her face turned pale. Now it's okay, Sun Dalian has been locked up. She won't ever see the light of day again in her life, Ai Yang said with a smile, comforting Ai Tsuehua, then continued, Do you remember Li Shu? Ai Tsuehua nodded. Li Shu was the one who had nearly ruined her life. How could Ai Tsuehua forget her? Sun Dalian is Li Shu's daughter, Ai Yang said calmly. Back in Dam Village, the idea to sell me to that old eunuch was Sun Dalian's. Ai Tsuehua gasped in surprise. Li Shu has a daughter? Why would she want to harm us like this? The hearts of this mother and daughter pair were really too vicious. Enai Tsuehua was naturally kind-hearted and found it difficult to understand how people could be so malicious. Of course, Enai Yang couldn't tell Enai Tsuehua about her reincarnation. She simply said, "I'm not too clear on the specifics." But their intentions were indeed not good. It took a while for Enai Tsuehua to digest what Enai Yang had said. Then Enai Yang also told Enai Tsuehua about how Mu Jinbao and Mu's grandmother were killed. Enai Tsuehua was stunned for a long time before saying with disbelief, "Your dad and your grandma are both already?" Although Enai Tsuehua was quite resentful towards these two people, hearing this news she was still a bit shocked. Enai Yang nodded, yes. After a few minutes of silence, Enai Tsuehua said, "This must be karma. Your dad and your grandma would not have ended up like this if they had had even a shred of conscience. How can people be so evil?" Seeing that Enai Tsuehua didn't have any extreme reaction, Enai Yang quietly breathed a sigh of relief. She had been worried that Enai Tsuehua wouldn't be able to get over this obstacle. After all, Enai Tsuehua had lived with Mu Jinbao's family for nearly 20 years. After a while, Mo Qixin came back with the group from lunch. Mo Qixin had specially packed some food for Enai Tsuehua and Enai Yang to bring back, and also bought a string of candied hawthorns for little Enai Yun. Little Enai Yun happily said, "Thank you, Sister Hu." Mo Qixin patted her little head, "You're welcome." Since there was work to be done in the fields, everyone proposed to leave in the afternoon. Mo Qixin and Enai Tsuehua saw the group out the hospital entrance. A black stretch Lincoln was parked on the side of the road. When the man dressed in a business suit saw Mo Qixin and the group come out, he immediately walked over. He was dressed very formally, and Enai Tsuehua and the others all thought he was some kind of leader, but unexpectedly, the man walked straight to Mo Qixin and stopped beside him. "Sir." Mo Qixin nodded, then turned to the others and said, "Uncle Datu, Auntie Chiao, Grandma Lin, Uncle Lu, Auntie Zhang, you've really gone through a lot today. This is my friend Wang Ping, you can just call him Xiao Wang. He will take you back shortly." Chapter 500, Xianxia was sentenced to death. The boss is a straight male _2. Xiao Wang greeted everyone politely. They came to visit Enai Yang voluntarily. How could they trouble Mo Qixin to send them back? "Xiaoma, you don't have to be so polite, we can just take the tram home. The tram station is right across the street, it's very convenient." "Exactly, Xiaoma, you and your aunt should go back, don't worry about us." "Xiaoma?" Xiao Wang looked at the villagers talking, then looked at Mo Qixin. It was as if a herd of grass mud horses were running wild in his mind. He was hallucinating, right? Why was Sir so humble in front of these villagers? Mo Qixin said, "You all shouldn't be so polite to me. Waiting for the tram and transferring is a real hassle. Letting Xiao Wang take you back is just a press of a pedal." Mo Qixin's considerate manners made Enai Tsuehua, the future mother-in-law, incredibly pleased. At least Mo Qixin cared for them. He didn't look down on them just because they were from the countryside and he was a city dweller. Enai Tsuehua responded with a smile, "Since it's Xiaomo's kind intention, you all should accept the ride. Don't be polite with him." Since Enai Tsuehua had said so, everyone stopped declining and got into the car with Xiao Wang. Mo Qixin followed them, closing the car doors, and instructed Xiao Wang to drive carefully. Xiao Wang nodded, "Don't worry, sir." The Lincoln was long and there was plenty of room for 8 people. All the seats were made of genuine leather, suitable for sitting or reclining. They were all ordinary farmers, usually reluctant even to take the tram, let alone a luxury car like this, which they had never even seen before. There were exclamations of amazement in the car. "This car must be very expensive. These seats are so soft. What's this little cupboard for?" Xiao Wang in the driver's seat replied, "That's the onboard snack cabinet. You can all help yourselves." "Thank you, Xiao Wang. We're just curious, having never ridden in a car like this before." They all declined the offer. They weren't the kind of people who would take advantage of a situation. Xiao Wang reassured them, "It's fine. Sir rarely eats those snacks. They'll just be replaced when they expire and that would be a waste." They still declined. Xiao Wang didn't push any further. He was thinking to himself that these villagers were quite decent, not what had expected. After a while, Uncle Dada curiously asked, "Xiao Wang, you and Xiaoma aren't friends, right? If they were really friends, would Xiao Wang be so respectful to them?" Xiao Wang said, "I'm Sir's driver." "Driver?" At this, everyone was taken aback. Most families couldn't even afford 2 bicycles, yet Mo Qixin not only had a sedan but also employed a driver. "My God. Xiaomo is so incredible," muttered Granny Lin, quite astonished. "He's so young and already so wealthy. What does his family do? Xiaowang, do you know what Xiaoma does? I'm not really sure. Xiaowang shook his head. I'm just a driver. For a moment there, Mo Qixin became the dream husband in everyone's eyes. Each person marveled at how great an Iquihua's life was. Not only did she have a sensible and beautiful daughter, but also a rich son-in-law. After everyone left, Mo Qixin returned to the ward with Ni Tsuehua. Little Ni Yun was asleep on the bed while Ni Yang was writing something. To give the mother and daughter some quiet space, Mo Qixin quietly left the ward. Out in the corridor he lit a cigarette. The sight of his thin lips clutching the cigarette, his face half obscured in the smoke, was mysteriously sexy, drawing the eyes of passing nurses and pedestrians. Mo Qixin, suddenly, an overjoyed female voice sounded from behind. Mo Qixin looked back slightly, somewhat stunned. The woman was young, wearing a dark cheongsam. She smiled and said, Mo Qixin, what brings you to the hospital? She seemed to know him, but Mo Qixin couldn't remember who she was at all. Slightly frowning, he requested, Who are you? Other than an Yang. Every other woman to him was no different than random passers-by. If this woman hadn't been wearing a cheongsam, which an Yang often wore, Mo Qixin probably wouldn't have given her another glance. Seeing Mo Qixin's reaction, disappointment flashed in the young woman's eyes. She then said, Ji Ro. Don't you remember? Mo Qixin shook his head slightly. Chapter 501. Xianxia was sentenced to death. The boss is a straight male _3. Ji Ro continued, We were classmates in elementary school. I used to sit behind you. The last time in F country I even sold you a cheongsam. That cheongsam was the treasure of our store. Do you remember now? After her explanation, Mo Qixin seemed to recall a bit. Ji Ro continued, What brings you here? Are you not feeling well? I came with my girlfriend. Mo Qixin replied. Girlfriend? They haven't broken up yet? Could it be that woman also knows Mo Qixin's true identity, which is why she refuses to break up? Ji Ro maintained her usual demeanor and said, What a coincidence your girlfriend is here as well. You were just telling me last time how beautiful she is. I wonder if I have the honor to meet her? Ji Ro was confident in her appearance. She did not believe there could be anyone more beautiful than herself. Although her intention was to meet, her real aim was to show off. No woman would be comfortable with her boyfriend bringing home a female friend who is more beautiful than herself. Ji Ro wanted to make her back off. It might be a bit inconvenient. Mo Qixin refused. Inconvenient? Ji Ro was momentarily taken aback and then laughed. Is your girlfriend so petty that even our meeting would bother her? I'm the one who would mind. I don't want misunderstandings. Mo Qixin said. He was already spoken for, so he naturally should maintain his integrity. He was not one for ambiguous interactions with other women. Mo Qixin hadn't had a female friend for years. Ji Ro was taken aback again. She didn't expect Mo Qixin to reply to her in such manner and was left with a suffocating feeling in her heart. It seems you really love your girlfriend. Mo Qixin nodded. Ji Ro laughed and said, Mo Qixin, is it appropriate for a man like you to act so humble? How can you cut off all your social interactions for a woman? Isn't your girlfriend being a bit too tyrannical? You can't just be indulgent in everything she says. She's already overbearing before marriage. Do you even have a say in your home after marriage? This sentence carried a hint of provocation, aiming to stir discord. Men with fragile resolve would waver after hearing such words. But Mo Qixin was not like other men. He coolly glanced at Ji Ro. I like to dote on her. Do you have a problem with that? Ji Ro was taken aback, a hint of embarrassment crossing her face. Most men of this era maintained some degree of male chauvinism. Rarely would they listen to their wives' wishes. Ji Ro had categorized Mo Qixin as one of them. Little did she know, this man was deeply invested in his relationship and was willing to be entirely at her beck and call for the woman he loved. Why couldn't such a good man be hers? Ji Ro felt a pang of sadness. If Mo Qixin's girlfriend was her, she would wake up laughing from her dreams. Ji Ro had never wanted to marry Mo Qixin as much as she did at this moment. She wanted him to dote on her as well. Ji Ro quickly recovered her smile. You misunderstood, that's not what I meant. Before Ji Ro could finish her sentence, Mo Qixin said, I have been out for too long. My girlfriend must be getting anxious. A pang of jealousy tugged at Ji Ro's heart. She really wanted to see just how ethereal his girlfriend was. Mo Qixin disappeared down the hall. Instead of going directly back to the ward, he went to the bathroom to wash his face and rinse off the smell of smoke before finally entering the ward. When he walked in, the room remained the same, and Ai Yin was writing something, and Ai Tsuehua and little Ai Yun were napping on the bed. And Ai Yin had her eyes slightly downcast, her face serious. The sunlight filtered in from outside, casting a soft gold glow on her, which was so pleasing to the eyes. Mo Qishan walked in quietly, picked up a newspaper and began reading on the couch. In an instant it was already the evening. Mo Qishan glanced at the window and then said, "Auntie, I can arrange for someone to take you and Yun Yun home. I can stay here and accompany Yen Yen." And Ai Tsuehua was after all taking care of a child. It was inconvenient to stay in the hospital. And there were also pets at home that needed feeding. Mo Qishan had thought things through thoroughly. And Ai Yin smiled and said, "Big brother Mo, you and my mom should go back. I just have a light injury, I am not incapacitated. I can take care of myself." And Ai Tsuehua said, "Yen Yen, just listen to Xiaoma. You have a wound on your waist and should move as little as possible. I feel more at ease with Xiaoma here to take care of you. Xiaoma, I will have to trouble you with this." Chapter 502. Li Xianxian was sentenced to death. The boss is a straight male _4. Mo Qishan said, "It's all what I should do." And Ai Tsuehua was very satisfied with her future son-in-law, Mo Qishan. After delivering Ai Tsuehua and little Ai Yun to their car, Mo Qishan returned. "Has my mom left?" asked Ai Yang. "Yes." Mo Qishan continued, "What do you want to eat tonight? I can go buy it for you." Ai Yang flipped a page in the notebook on the table and said, "I can eat anything, brother Mo. You don't have to go through the trouble of going out to buy. You can just get food from the hospital cafeteria. The cafeteria food lacks nutrition." Mo Qishan put on his coat from the rack. "Yang, I'll be right back." Even though it was early summer, the evening in Beijing City was a bit cool. People going out were all wearing jackets. Mo Qishan didn't head straight to the restaurant. He first stopped by a phone booth. "Hello. Keep a close eye on the lawyer. Don't give Sun Dalian any chance for a reduced sentence." After finishing his sentence, Mo Qishan hung up the phone with a frosty face, left the phone booth and headed to the restaurant. He didn't need to handle buying the meal himself, but when it concerned Ai Yang, he didn't want others to do it. Just as he was nearing the hospital entrance, he ran into Ji Ro, who was coming out. Mo Qishan chose to ignore her, but Ji Ro greeted him warmly. "Hey! What a coincidence, Mo Qishan. Are you out buying dinner?" Mo Qishan nodded slightly. Ji Ro glanced at her watch and went on, "It's still early. Since we haven't seen each other for a long time, why don't we grab something to eat first? We can buy food for your girlfriend later." All relationships are built over time through daily interactions, so Ji Ro wouldn't miss any opportunity to spend time with Mo Qishan. Mo Qishan flatly rejected her. Ji Ro said, "What? Are you afraid your girlfriend might misunderstand? It's just a casual gathering between old classmates, it's no big deal. You can't cut off all your social interactions just because of your girlfriend, right?" As soon as she finished speaking, Ji Ro continued, "Mo Qishan, you are really too in love with your girlfriend. I really envy her. How lucky she is to have found such a good boyfriend like you. Why don't I have that kind of luck?" "You're just unlucky," Mo Qishan replied bluntly. After his statement, he ignored Ji Ro and walked away. "Unlucky?" Ji Ro watched Mo Qishan's retreating figure, speechless for a while. What does he mean she's unlucky? She was born as the Ji family's heiress. How could she be considered unlucky? Ji Ro grew even more curious about what Mo Qishan's girlfriend looked like, since he was so protective of her. He wouldn't even give her a sliver of opportunity. "Miss Ji." At that moment, a young man ran up to her. "What's the matter?" Ji Rao's expression changed instantly. "Have you gotten the medication yet? Mr. Abner is getting anxious." Ji Ro nodded. "I have the medication. Let's go." She had wanted to follow Mo Qishan to get a glimpse of his girlfriend, but it seemed she would have to wait for another opportunity. She refused to believe that Mo Qishan and his girlfriend got along so well that they never even had a quarrel. Mo Qishan came back to the ward with the meal in a box, fetched a basin of water from the bathroom, placed it by the bed, held the basin with one hand and brushed her loose hair away from her ear with the other. His rough fingers contrasted sharply with her delicate skin. Yang, time to wash your hands and eat." Ai Yang was preoccupied with her writing. She looked up in surprise at the sound of Mo Qishan's voice. "Brother Mo, why did you bring the water here? You could have just told me, I could have washed my hands in the bathroom." "You're injured. It's inconvenient for you," replied Mo Qishan. Ai Yang laughed. "You make it sound as if I'm a paraplegic. It's only a superficial wound. am not so seriously injured that I can't even wash my hands. Just as Yang was about to start eating, Mo Qixin held a spoonful of food to her mouth. The porcelain white spoon was filled with chicken soup with a layer of butter floating on top, its aroma wafting into the air. Brother Mo, what are you trying to do? Feed you. Mo Qixin spooned the soup directly into her mouth. With no choice but to swallow the delicious chicken soup, Yang took the bowl and spoon from Mo Qixin's hands. I can do it myself, Brother Mo, you should eat too. Yang was not immobile, she couldn't possibly let Mo Qixin feed her. Chapter 503, Xianxia was sentenced to death. The boss is a straight male _5. Let me feed you. Mo Qixin held the bowl tightly in his hand, making it impossible for Yang to grab it from him. I promised your aunt that I'd take good care of you. Seeing Mo Qixin so determined, Yang had no choice but to play her role as a giant baby waiting to be fed. Brother Mo, aren't you going to eat? Mo Qixin fed her a spoonful of chicken soup. I'll eat after you've had enough. Yang laughed. You're making it sound like I'm torturing you by not letting you eat. Mo Qixin replied, I'm more than happy to. Why are you so sweet-talking? Yang pinched his face. Mo Qixin raised his brows slightly. You already know how sweet it is without even tasting? Yang, he's getting better and better at flirting. I'm losing. At night. Yang slept in the hospital bed while Mo Qixin curled up on the sofa. With his tall stature and long legs, the sofa seemed a bit cramped. A single turn could cause him to fall to the floor. Fortunately, Mo Qixin was a peaceful sleeper. Yang observed for a long time but never saw him fall off the sofa. As she watched, she became drowsy and fell asleep. At this moment, the man who was supposed to be sound asleep suddenly opened his eyes. Like a cheetah on a hunt, he was ready to pounce. The next day, Mo Qixin came back from buying food, bringing good news with him. Xianxia was sentenced to death, to be executed in 3 months. Upon hearing this news, Yang let out a sigh of relief. After all, Xianxia was the culprit behind her murder in her previous life. If Xianxia didn't die, Yang always felt uneasy. In the afternoon, Yang was resting in bed when there was a commotion at the entrance of the ward. Then the elderly Mrs. Mo, Mr. Mo, Lin Pingping, Mo Hudi, and others came in carrying bags of nutritious goodies. Because Yang had specifically asked Mo Qixin not to mention this to the two elders, they had only just found out about it. Upon hearing the news, they rushed over immediately. Yang, are you okay? Are you feeling better? Mrs. Mo asked, her eyes red with worry. Aunt Mo, I'm fine. Yang got up and did a couple of turns. As you can see, I'm full of energy, there's nothing wrong with me. Mrs. Mo grumbled, it's all that careless boy's fault. How could he not tell us anything about such a big event? Yang, you're really okay, right? Yang laughed, I'm really okay, don't worry. I was actually the one who asked Brother Mo not to tell you. Don't blame him. Mrs. Mo looked around the hospital ward. Where is little Six? Isn't he with you? This ridiculous boy, how can he be her boyfriend? He deserved a good beating. Yang replied, Brother Mo went to buy meals. He should be back soon. Only then did Mrs. Mo abandon the thought of beating up Mo Qixin. Lin Pingping placed the lilies she brought into a vase and then asked, Yang, what on earth happened? Yang briefly explained the situation with Xianxia. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Mo sighed in relief. Thank goodness Chuan didn't marry that woman. Otherwise, our Mo family could have been ruined by her. It's terrifying. Who could have imagined that Xianxia would do such a horrid thing? Lin Pingping also sighed. Mo Hudi looked at Yang with concern. Sister Yang, are you really okay? Were you hurt by that bad Xianxia? Although Yang was now Mo Qixin's girlfriend, her future aunt, Mo Hudi still couldn't help but call her sister Yang. Yang gave a slight smile. I'm really fine, Xiaodai, you don't have to worry. Sister Yang. A figure rushed in from outside the door, and was about to hug Yang around the waist when a figure suddenly appeared and blocked Yang behind him. Yang Guobao looked up in confusion and saw a stern-faced Mo Qixin. Uncle Mo 6? Mo Qixin said, Guobao, you're a young man now. You need to understand the principle of no physical contact between the opposite gender, okay? But I like Sister Yang. Yang Guobao replied softly. Mo Qixin seriously said, you cannot like a woman who is already taken. What does a married woman mean? Yang Guobao asked. A married woman is someone who already has a partner, Mo Qixin continued. Your sister Yang is now my girlfriend, so you can't hug her. Why? Yang Guobao scratched his head. Mo Qishan bent over slightly, leaned into Yang Guobao's ear and warned softly with a smile, "If I see you misbehaving around Ni Yang again, I'll punch you, okay?" As he spoke those last words, Mo Qishan clenched his fist. Yang Guobao was already a little scared of Mo Qishan, and that threat turned his face pale. He had seen Mo Qishan make a little boy who was bullying Mo Hudi cry. After that incident, the little boy and his entire family moved away. Ni Yang, who was standing behind, asked, "Mo, what are you saying to Guobao?" Mo Qishan gave a fatherly smile, gently stroked Yang Guobao's head and said, "I was just saying how quickly Guobao is growing. It has only been a few years and he's already this big." Wang Meifeng walked in and laughed, "Exactly, Guobao has grown quite a bit recently." Yang Guobao, scared, quickly hid behind Wang Meifeng. "Mamma mia. Uncle Mo6 is too scary. He can lie so calmly with his eyes wide open. Guobao, why are you being shy?" Ni Yang raised an eyebrow. Yang Guobao peeped out from behind Wang Meifeng. "Sister Ni Yang, are you okay?" "I'm fine." Ni Yang waved him over. "Guobao, come here." Yang Guobao walked over, no longer daring to hug Ni Yang affectionately as before, and just stood there properly. Mo Qishan was finally satisfied. 3 days later, Ni Yang was officially discharged from the hospital. To avoid trouble, Ni Yang specifically didn't let Ni Tsuehua drop her, because it wasn't a big deal. Instead of riding a bicycle this time, Mo Qishan had Wu Daming drive Ni Yang home. "Sixth sister-in-law, congratulations on your discharge." "Thank you." The car moved rapidly, and they arrived at the Ni family's courtyard in no time. To welcome Ni Yang back, Ni Tsuehua had prepared a brazier at the gate. In the eyes of the older generation, the hospital is a very bad place because it's often associated with death and hence has heavy yin energy. Stepping over the brazier is considered auspicious and can turn bad luck into good luck, signifying getting away from misfortune and bringing prosperity. After stepping over the brazier, they would also take a peachwood branch dipped in water to sprinkle on the body, to dispel evil spirits. After everything was arranged, Mo Qishan lit the firecrackers handed by Ni Tsuehua. Ni Yang walked out from amidst the smoke, laughing, "Mom, it's just a discharge, you don't need to make such a fuss." Ni Tsuehua replied, "Although you seem to have only suffered a minor injury this time, if you had been a bit unluckier, I might not have seen you again. We need to ward off evil and drive away all the bad luck so you will be safe and everything will go smoothly in the future." It was only recently that Ni Tsuehua found out that Xianxia had been carrying a 40 centimeters long fruit knife that day. If the knife had gone in a little deeper, would she still be able to see Ni Yang? Just thinking about it frightened Ni Tsuehua. Tweet. A black bird flew from the osmanthus tree in the yard to Ni Yang's shoulder. "Duo duo." Ni Yang stroked its little head. Duo duo affectionately nuzzled Ni Yang's palm. Then Ni Tsuehua came to her senses and invited Mo Qishan and Wu Daming in. "Xiao Mo, Xiao Wu, come in and sit." The two of them followed Ni Tsuehua inside. Mo Qishan had visited the Ni family many times and had already considered himself as part of the family. He began pouring tea for Wu Daming. Wu Daming was pleasantly surprised. "Thank you, Brother 6. Chapter 504. Boss, where is your obsessive cleanliness? You look a lot like Mrs. Zhang when she was young. _1. Wu Daming has been following Mo Qishan for such a long time, but he had never seen Mo Qishan so humble before. Except when he encountered Ni Yang. Wu Daming picked up his cup and took a sip of tea. His heart was filled with emotions. Ni Tsuehua brought a dish of green apples and sunflower seeds to him. "Xiao Wu, here are some apples and seeds for you. Please help yourself." "Thank you, Auntie." Wu Daming immediately put down his tea and expressed his gratitude. Ni Tsuehua continued, "Xiaoma, let Xiao Wu have some food. He's too shy to eat." "Sure, Auntie." Mo Qishan nodded and handed a green apple to Wu Daming. The moment Ni Yang returned home, she went to her room to check. After staying 5 days in the hospital, she found her room very tidy and completely dust-free, thanks to Ni Quihua's cleaning. A white June snow tree peeked in from the window, releasing a light fragrance. Underneath the window lay a desk with a pile of thick books and an old-style military green lamp on the left. Next to it was a pen holder filled with all sorts of blue and black pens and fountain pens. Next to it was a very large wardrobe with a full-length mirror mounted on the door. The arrangement was simple but exuding a heartwarming appeal. Home is always the most comfortable place, Ni Yang sighed, closing her eyes and taking a deep breath of the surrounding air. Yang Yang. Mo Qishan walked in from the outside. Do you have any band-aids here? Band-aids were introduced to China in the 1940s, but it wasn't until the 1970s that they really hit the market. As Ni Yang was a doctor, she kept band-aids at home. Band-aids? Ni Yang frowned slightly. Did someone get hurt? Wu Daming accidentally cut his finger while peeling an apple, Mo Qixin replied. Is everything okay? How deep is the cut? Ni Yang asked as she opened a first aid kit. It's fine. A band-aid is all he needs. Brother Mo, here you go. Ni Yang handed a band-aid to Mo Qixin. Walking into the living room, they found Wu Daming was pacing around with his injured finger in hand. Brother Six, do you have a band-aid? Mo Qixin nodded and handed him the band-aid. How is it? Is the cut deep? Should we apply some medicine and wrap it up? Ni Yang walked forward to check. No need, sister-in-law. It's just a scratch. Wu Daming replied while applying the band-aid. After Ni Yang felt reassured, she walked to the table, picked up a cup and took a sip of tea. Frowning slightly, she said to Mo Qixin, Brother Mo, why are you drinking such strong tea? Have you not been sleeping well recently? Considering that Mo Qixin had been sleeping on the hospital couch for the past few nights, it would have been natural for him not to sleep well. Mo Qixin smiled and said, I'm just used to drinking strong tea. How come I've never noticed before that you like your tea so strong? It's still early, why don't you go sleep for a while in my room? They'll wake you up when it's time for lunch. Ni Yang ushered Mo Qixin towards her bedroom. I'm not sleepy. You are. Ni Yang did not give him a chance to refuse and directly pushed Mo Qixin to sit on the bed in her room. Go to sleep now. It's only 8:30. We eat lunch at 12. You can sleep at least for another 3.5 hours. I'm really not sleepy. Mo Qixin laughed helplessly. Just go to sleep. Ni Yang pressed down his shoulder. She was about to take off his shoes, but Mo Qixin immediately sat up and said, Yang, I said I'd go to sleep. I can take off my shoes myself. Mo Qixin said and started taking off his shoes. Ni Yang pulled up the light cover and placed it on him. I'm leaving now. They'll call you for lunch. Okay. Mo Qixin nodded. Ni Yang's bed was different from the imported Simmons-style beds. Her bed was a carved frame bed with a top and 4 posts. The bed seemed like a small house. The frame was made of mahogany and was carved with simple patterns, which made it look exceptionally secure. Underneath the bed sheet was a layer of dry straw. Lying on it felt soft, and a faint sweet scent of straw lingered around, just like the scent on Ni Yang, very pleasant to his nose. The thought that this was Ni Yang's bed and the blanket had been used by her excited Mo Qixin. He pulled the blanket over his face and deeply inhaled its scent. He fell asleep without realizing it. He had a great sleep until Ni Yang woke him up for lunch. Lunch was splendid, including braised pork, mapo tofu, boiled fish, cold noodles and tomato and egg soup. Ni Yang's culinary skills were impressive. Even an ordinary dish like the braised pork had an extraordinary taste when she cooked it. Chapter 505. Boss, where is your obsessive cleanliness? You look a lot like Mrs. Zhang when she was young. Wu Daming gobbled down 3 large bowls of rice enthusiastically, speaking with his mouth full. This is so delicious. You are an incredible cook, sixth sister-in-law. Ni Yin smiled. If you enjoy the food, eat as much as you want, don't be shy. Wu Daming said, thank you, sixth sister-in-law. Ni Yin picked a piece of braised pork with her chopsticks, bit off and swallowed the lean part, then casually tossed the fatty piece into Mo Qixin's bowl. Mo Qixin immediately ate the piece she had discarded. Wu Daming was left speechless at this sight. He originally assumed Mo Qixin would toss the piece aside. Unexpectedly, not only did Mo Qixin eat it readily, he appeared to enjoy it immensely. How extraordinary was that? Did Qixin not have a cleanliness obsession? When did his aversion to unclean items get resolved? At this point, Wu Daming looked utterly bewildered. Upon noticing his reaction, the curious Ni Yen looked up and asked, Wu Daming, is something wrong? Are you feeling unwell? No, not at all. Wu Daming shook his head vigorously, then dismissively said, I'm just feeling too full. Pathetic, muttered Mo Qixin. Wu Daming. If you're so dignified, why are you eating your wife's leftovers? After they had finished eating, Ni Yen saw off Mo Qixin and Wu Daming. Wu Daming very prudently walked up ahead, allowing Ni Yen and Mo Qixin to linger behind. Ni Yen said, Brother Mo, come to my house for lunch the day after tomorrow. Mo Qixin nodded, okay. Soon they reached the village entrance, where the black luxury car was parked beneath the large banyan tree. At first, when a luxury car was parked at the village entrance, the villagers were very curious and even crowded around to have a look. After all, cars were a rare commodity during that era. However, as the car made more frequent appearances, the villagers became accustomed to the sight. Time flew quickly and little Ni Yun's birthday was only one day away. Ni Yun planned to celebrate little Ni Yun's birthday wholeheartedly, so she started preparing the birthday cake today. Actually, there were already cake shops in Beijing at this time, but the custom-made designs all looked the same. Either it would be a big immortal peach or an old-fashioned flower, and they were all made with food coloring and cream, so it wasn't healthy. Hence, Ni Yun decided to hand-make a cake. Ni Yun is a person of strong execution. She immediately rolled up her sleeves and got to work in the kitchen. The first step in making a cake is kneading the flour. Mix eggs and milk into the flour, add yeast to knead it into dough, let it ferment naturally for about 5 hours, and it's ready for baking. Even though Ni Yun didn't have an oven, she had a bread kiln. As long as the temperature was well controlled, the bread kiln could also be used to bake cakes. After kneading the dough, Ni Yun started making the cream. Making cream at home is simple. All you need is eggs, milk, edible oil and granulated sugar. First, separate the egg whites, put them in a bowl and stir in the same direction. When more foam is stirred, add milk, edible oil and granulated sugar to continue stirring for more than 20 minutes, letting the liquid in the bowl become a thick paste, and the cream is done. After Ni Yun finished making the cream, she stored it in the refrigerator. By now their home was equipped with all the 4 major appliances. These 4 major appliances are TV, refrigerator, air conditioner, washing machine. There was no air conditioner at this time, so it was replaced by a window unit. Xianxia gave these 4 major appliances when the roof beam was put up. Currently, only the refrigerator was being used. Both the refrigerator and the window air conditioner were installed in the new house. Ni Yun planned to move into the new house in another month. After lunch, Ni Yun took a plastic bucket and went to the creek at the foot of the mountain. This creek maintained water flow all year round. Even in the dry season when all the rivers dried up, the creek remained unchanged. In an era where there was no pollution from factories, the creek water was crystal clear. You could see the rainbow fish and small fish swimming around. Such a scene was only visible in the 80s and 90s. As factories popped up in later years, all the streams turned into drain ditches. Ni Yun came here this time not to catch fish, but to pick up snails and catch crabs to provide an additional meal for little Ni Yun's birthday tomorrow. The flavor of snails and crabs bred in the creek was much better than those from the river. It's not a taste that one could find at a night market food stall in later years. Ni Yun put the plastic bucket on a big rock, rolled up her trouser legs, stepped barefoot into the creek. The shallow water just covered her ankles. It was easy to pick up snails. A casual touch could feel a handful of them. Chapter 506. Boss, where is your obsessive cleanliness? You look a lot like Mrs. Zhang when she was young. 3. Catching crabs was tougher, requiring overturning each rock individually. Normally, only one crab would hide under a single rock. However, because no one usually caught them, Ni Yun spent 3 hours catching over 30. Together with the snails, they filled almost half of the bucket. Not being greedy, Ni Yun decided to return, believing there was enough to eat. The snails and crabs both had to be left in clean water overnight. After they had disgorged any mud or sand, they could be cooked the next day. The next day, Ni Yun woke up early. She delivered the new clothes that she secretly bought days ago to Ni Qihua's room. Happy birthday, little Yun Yun, do you like this dress? Sister, hug. Seeing Ni Yun, little Ni Yun stretched her arms out for a hug. Ni Tsuehua smiled and said, Yun Yun has too many clothes already, why are you buying her more? Ni Yun? Stop wasting money. Ni Yun replied, today is Yun Yun's birthday, of course she needs to wear a new dress. Mom, hurry up and help Yun Yun try on the dress. The dress was a red set with the word Fu, which means luck, printed on it. It looked very festive. Coupled with little Ni Yun's chubby stature, she looked just like a little Fua good luck doll when she put it on. Little Ni Yun, now in her new dress, was ecstatic and couldn't stop giggling. She gurgled, pretty? Pretty. Yun Yun, quickly thank your sister. Thanks, sister. Typically birthday feasts are at midday. Therefore after breakfast, Ni Yun began baking the cake. The dough, kneaded and prepared the day before, rose very well. Just as Ni Yun placed the mold into the oven, voices could be heard outside. Sister Ni Yun. The voices arrived before the people. Yang Guobao and Mo Hudi, two little fellows, charged in from outside. Guobao, shout I. Mo Hudi rushed over and hugged Ai Yang, while Yang Guobao strategically stood aside, correcting her. Sister Ai Yang, we agreed that you should call me Debao, how could you forget? Ai Yang freed one hand to ruffle his hair. Okay, Debao. Ai Yang. Following that, Mo Qixin, Old Master Mo, Lady Mo, Lin Pingping, along with Wang Meifeng, Zhou Suhua, Yang Dehai, Yang Changjing and others entered. Auntie Mo, Uncle Mo, Sister Pingping, Auntie Yang, Uncle Yang, Sister-in-law, Brother Yang, you're all here. Ai Yang was surprised. As Ai Yang was now Mo Qixin's girlfriend, a generation was added in between, so she changed the way she addressed Wang Meifeng's relatives, else it would get a little disorganized. As for kids Yang Guobao and Mo Hudi, she let them call her whatever they wanted. Lady Mo smiled and said, today is little Yunyun's first birthday, how could we not come? In China, a child's first birthday is very important. Usually, it is the child's maternal grandmother who celebrates the birthday, but as Ai Yang had no kin in Beijing, Lady Mo had come instead. She planned to give little Ai Yun a grand first birthday. While on their way here they had run into Wang Meifeng's family and so came together. The more the merrier. Ai Yang didn't tell anyone about little Ai Yun's birthday, even Mo Qixin was only subtly invited over for lunch. She was afraid that Lady Mo and Wang Meifeng would spend money when they found out. Besides wasting money, it'd be a waste of their time as well, given that it was a workday. However, against her expectations they had still come. To say she wasn't moved would be a lie. Hearing the noise outside, Ai Tsuehua immediately went out to welcome them, holding the child in her arms. This was the first time that Ai Tsuehua had met Old Master Mo and Lady Mo, so Ai Yang introduced them formally. Mom, this is Brother Mo's mother, and this is Brother Mo's father. Uncle Mo, Auntie Mo, this is my mom, and this is my sister Ai Yun. Compared to Ai Tsuehua, Old Master Mo and Lady Mo seemed much older. After all, there was over a 30-year age difference between them. Ai Tsuehua immediately put down the child and reached out to shake hands with Lady Mo and Old Master Mo. Nice to meet you both, Ai Yan's mother. Lady Mo took Ai Kuihua's hand and said emotionally, Ai Yan's mom, you've raised a wonderful daughter. As Lady Mo looked at Ai Tsuehua, she suddenly felt a strange sensation and continued, Ai Yan's mom, have we met before? She had a hunch that she and Ai Tsuehua had met before, but she couldn't recall where. Ai Tsuehua hesitated, I don't think so, maybe you're mistaken. Ai Tsuehua had always been an ordinary countryside woman. If she had met someone like Lady Mo who had an imposing aura, she wouldn't have forgotten it. Chapter 507. Boss, where is your obsessive cleanliness? You look a lot like Mrs. Zhang when she was young. 4. Old Lady Mo turned to look at Old Master Mo. Old man, don't you think Yang Yang's mom looks familiar? Old Master Mo furrowed his brows slightly. She does, seem somewhat familiar. Old Lady Mo continued, Yang Yang's mom, where is your hometown? Ai Tsuehua replied, my hometown is Haiqing. Old Lady Mo nodded, Haiqing is nice, the girls from there are always very charming, no wonder you gave birth to such a pretty and well-behaved child like Yang Yang. Ah, is this little Yin? Let Andy hold you, okay? Normally, Old Lady Mo could have been little Ai Yun's grandmother, but today she was an aunt. Little Ai Yun was not shy at all and opened her arms, shouting Auntie, which made Old Lady Mo very happy. If it were not for her old age, Old Lady Mo might have even wanted another child. Ai Tsuehua continued, let's not stand at the door, let's go inside and sit. The group of people went inside. Ai Yang was handing out disposable cups for tea. Actually, disposable cups did not exist at this time. These cups were produced by the factory when Ai Yang had ordered custom milk tea cups. Yang, let me help you. Mo Qixin picked up the kettle. Ai Yang poured the tea leaves and he poured the hot water. As there were many people, the living room seemed a bit crowded. This was Mo Hudi's first time in the countryside. She was very excited and curious about everything. Yang Guobao explained everything along the way. Shout I look, this is a bread oven. Do you know what a bread oven is for? I don't know. Mo Hudi shook her head. Yang Guobao said, Shout I, you're really silly. You're a writer. A bread oven, as the name implies, is for making bread. And let me tell you, Sister Ai Yang and I made this bread oven by hand. Look here, this is where Sister Ai Yang and I wrote our names in our own handwriting. Wow. Really? Mo Hudi looked admiringly at it. She also wanted to build a bread oven with Sister Ai Yang. Yang Guobao went on, I have many good friends in the village too. Come on, shout I, I'll introduce you to my good friends. Okay. Mo Hudi happily followed Yang Guobao's footsteps. Yang Guobao took Mo Hudi to the secret base where everyone often played together. Xiaohua, Penghu, Guochang, Xiaoshuan, Zhuzi, Yuelyang, let me introduce you, this is my good friend Mo Hudi, you can call her Xiao Dai. The village children all greeted Mo Hudi in a friendly manner. After hellos, Yang Guobao suddenly realized something was amiss. Scratching his head he said, Hey, where's Gooden? Gooden is at home doing homework. Penghu replied. Yang Guobao exclaimed in surprise, Gooden is being diligent today. Penghu chuckled. His father beat him. No wonder. Yang Guobao continued, You guys play first, I'm going to take Xiao Dai to find Gooden. As Yang Guobao led Mo Hudi in the direction of Gooden's home, he introduced her, Xiao Dai, Gooden is my best brother. We are both boys of the dog generation. Oh. Mo Hudi nodded. In a short while they reached Gooden's house. Gooden. Gooden. Yang Guobao stood outside and shouted. Soon Gooden came out running gleefully, cheering happily, Debao, you're here. The two brothers warmly embraced each other. Gooden, let me introduce you. This is my good friend Mo Hudi, you can call her Xiao Dai. Xiao Dai, this is Gooden. Hi Gooden. Xiao Dai. The bond between children is quite simple and pure, without much calculation. In no time, Mo Hudi had joined in the play, even learning how to mold clay into people and houses. For the first time in her life, Mo Hudi discovered that there were things more fun than writing. This feeling was awesome. An family home. Yang was busy in the kitchen with Mo Qixin helping on the side. Tsuehua was taking care of the children while entertaining the guests. Originally Lin Pingping and Wang Meifeng wanted to help in the kitchen, but seeing how well Yang and Mo Qixin were working together, they quietly left. A couple getting along so well, if they had stayed they would have become third wheels. For lunch, Yang prepared 4 cold dishes, 3 stir-fries, a soup and a huge pot of grilled fish. Because there were many people, if only stir-fried dishes were made, by the time each dish was fried and brought to the table, they would already be cold and tasteless. Chapter 508, Boss, where is your obsessive cleanliness? You look a lot like Mrs. Zhang when she was young _5. A pot of grilled fish with all the side dishes, delicious and convenient. The cold dish was sour and spicy ear mushrooms, pickled chicken feet, then smashed cucumber and spinach mixed with vermicelli. The stir-fried dishes were spicy crab, spicy fried river snails, and sautéed green beans with river prawns. Then a winter melon and kelp pork rib soup. Eating more kelp and winter melon in the summer is said to have slimming and whitening benefits. After preparing all the dishes, Yang stewed the grilled fish with sides in the pot. Then she began making the cake. The cake base from the bakery oven was beautiful, golden and fragrant, making one's mouth water. Mo Qixin exclaimed in surprise, Yang, are you making your own birthday cake? MHM. Yang nodded her head, cutting a piece of the cake and stuffing it into Mo Qixin's mouth. Brother Mo, taste if it's good or not. The bite was soft with a strong milky fragrance. It was fluffy and melted in the mouth. It was sweet but not too rich, incomparably more delicious than the one sold outside. Delicious. Mo Qixin nodded his head. That's good. Yang took out cream, fruits and cocoa sauce to start decorating the cake. Yang had baked 4 cake bases, intending to share with the village children. That meant she was making a 4-layered cake. She spread cream and cocoa sauce evenly on each layer, then topped with diced mango and strawberries. On the top layer she decorated it with cute little cherries before writing Happy Birthday with strawberry sauce. And just like that, a gorgeous birthday cake was completed. Simple, beautiful and still delicious. After making the cake, she put it in the kitchen, planning to have it after lunch and then blow the candles on the cake. 1 table wasn't enough for everyone at noon, so Yang combined 2 tables into 1. Everyone chatted while eating, happy and content. After the meal, Yang and Mo Qixin carefully moved the cake to the center of the table. Wow, such a beautiful cake. Yang, I heard from Lao Lu that you made this cake yourself? Yang nodded, yes, that's right. Yang, you are simply capable of everything. Lin Pingping exclaimed. Before meeting Yang, Lin Pingping never knew a girl could be so strong. Yang changed her perception of women and allowed her to see herself properly. If it weren't for Yang, she wouldn't be where she is today. Yang smiled and replied, Sister Pingping, it's just a cake. It isn't as exaggerated as you're saying. Old Mrs. Mo looked at Yang, love overflowing in her eyes. How could such a good girl fall into her dog son's hands? She was somewhat reluctant to let Ni Yang marry Imo Chishan. Because little Ni Yun was so young, everyone helped to blow out the candles in the end. When the cake was being cut, Ni Yang purposely asked Yang Guobao to bring the other children from the village over. In an era like this, a cake is a rare delicacy. Normally, when a child's birthday comes around, they'd be lucky to have a hard-boiled egg. Whoever heard of having a cake? Some children were seeing cake for the first time. When each child received a piece of cake, they were all very happy and thanked Ni Yang politely. The fondness in the children's eyes for Ni Yang was not feigned. Old Mr. and Mrs. Imo were very surprised. They never thought that Ni Yang could be so popular in the village and so loving. Though there were many people, thankfully the cake was big enough for everyone to get a large slice. Old Mrs. Imo chuckled. "This is my first time tasting such a delicious cake." This comment wasn't about complimenting Ni Yang. Ni Yang was a good baker, her cake was not too sweet or greasy, and there were fruits sandwiched in the middle. It tasted uniquely delicious, something one could not find in any cake shops of that era. The rest of them nodded in agreement. Even Wang Meifeng, who usually doesn't have a sweet tooth, ate a whole piece. They stayed at the Ni families until dusk before returning home. That night, Old Lady Imo and Old Man Imo sat on the bed chatting. Old Man Yang Yang's mom is really a good person and she's beautiful. It's a pity that she became a widow at such a young age. As a woman, Old Lady Imo knew how difficult it was to be a single mother. Old Man Imo put down his newspaper. "You want to play matchmaker again?" Old Lady Imo laughed. "You guessed it right. What do you think of Dehui?" Old Man Imo hesitated for a while, then said, "Dehui is a man of good character, his family background is decent, and he is a university professor. Indeed, he's quite a catch. But I don't know if he would be interested in Yang Yang's mom." After all, Shangguan Dehui's qualifications were clear for all to see, and being from a wealthy family, Old Man Mo's concerns were not without reason. Now it was Old Lady Mo's turn to be displeased. "What's this? Shangguan Dehui isn't good enough for Yang Yang's mom? Yang Yang's mom is attractive, has a great figure, is educated. If anyone is to reject the other, it would be Yang Yang's mom rejecting Shangguan Dehui." In Old Lady Mo's eyes, Anai Tsuehua was perfect. She was beautiful, sophisticated, and a few years younger than Shangguan Dehui. After being scolded by Old Lady Imo, Old Man Imo immediately admitted defeat. Yes, you are always right. Indeed I am." Old Lady Imo tossed back the covers and got off the bed. "I'm calling Mrs. Lin right now." The Mrs. Lin that Old Lady Imo mentioned was a publicly recognized matchmaker in their circle. She loved matchmaking in her spare time. Not long after, Old Lady Imo returned looking dejected. Old Man Imo looked up. "What happened? What did Mrs. Lin say?" Old Lady Imo sighed. "We were too late. Mrs. Lin has already introduced her niece to Dehui. Apparently, they both left good impressions on each other and are about to meet their parents to get engaged." "Really? What a coincidence." Old Man Imo was a bit surprised. "Precisely." Old Lady Imo continued. "You know, Sufan has been gone for so many years, and Dehui never thought about finding a new wife. But why did he suddenly decide to marry now? Could it be that he found Daya?" Old Lady Imo had a good relationship with Old Lady Shangguan, so she knew about Daya. Old Man Imo shook his head. "I don't think so. Didn't you say Mrs. Lin introduced her niece to Dehui? How could their niece become Daya? Let's change the subject, I'll find a good match for Yang Yang's mom one day." Old Lady Imo continued. "Oh, old man, have you noticed that Yang Yang's mom looks like someone?" "Who?" Old Man Imo asked without lifting his head. "Like Aching." Old Lady Imo said. "Aching is the childhood name of Mrs. Zheng." Old Man Imo frowned. Old Lady Imo went on. "Don't you think that the more you look at Yang Yang's mom, the more she looks like Aching when she was young?" Old Lady Imo and Mrs. Zheng were like sisters, they grew up together. Now that Mrs. Zheng was old and didn't look like her young self anymore, only Old Lady Imo knew that Anai Tsuehua resembled Mrs. Zheng in her youth. Upon hearing this, Old Man Imo slowly became serious. "Yes, she does look somewhat like her. Could it be possible that Yang Yang's mom is Tingting?" Old Lady Imo questioned. "I guess not," Old Man Imo muttered. "By the way, where did Yang Yang's mom say she was from this morning?" "Haiqing." Old Lady Imo remembered clearly. Haiqing is thousands of kilometers away from where Tingting was lost. It seems unlikely. 30 years ago, when transportation was underdeveloped, it would take several months to cover a distance of a few thousand kilometers. Chapter 509. Training Class. Mrs. Shangguan exposes the true faces of Lin Fang and her mother. _1. Madame Mo said, "So, I also found it strange. Yang Yang's mom looks a lot like Aching, but the location doesn't match. How could a 3-year-old child travel thousands of kilometers alone? It wasn't likely for human traffickers either, because in those times, there were abandoned baby girls everywhere, so why would traffickers steal a baby girl? If they were going to steal, they should steal a baby boy." "Did you ask how old Yang Yang's mom is today?" the old master Mo continued. "No, I didn't," said Madame Mo. "I'll go ask Lulu." Having said that, Madame Mo turned around and walked towards Mo Kishin's room. "Lulu." Madame Mo knocked on the door. "Mom?" It took a while before Mo Chishin finally opened the door. "Lulu, I want to ask you something." Madame Mo spoke while walking in. "Go ahead." Mo Chishin pulled out a chair for Madame Mo to sit down. "How old is your mother-in-law this year?" Madame Mo asked straight away. "Why do you ask this?" Mo Chishin wondered. Madame Mo said, "Well, I've been thinking about introducing a match for your mother-in-law." "Introduce a match?" Mo Chishin looked at Madame Mo with a strange expression. He now had a little aunt who was still breastfeeding. Would they create a little uncle for him too? She was 36 last year, so she's 37 now. Mo Chishin poured a cup of tea for Madame Mo 37. Madame Mo calculated inside her heart, this age was just right for Zheng Tingting. "So, are there still people on your mother-in-law's side?" Madame Mo continued to ask. "According to Yang Yang, she seems to have an uncle, but he's in jail because he got into some trouble." Mo Chishin explained vaguely. Madame Mo nodded her head and then said, "So, Yang Yang's maternal grandparents are gone then?" "Yes." Mo Chishin continued, "Yang Yang's family situation is quite simple. Her paternal grandparents and father's side have also passed away." Madame Mo sighed. It hasn't been easy for Yang Yang. Losing so many loved ones at such a young age, now she not only has to support herself but also her mother and sister. Most importantly, she was still able to make life so prosperous. Not all girls have such a bold spirit. Having said that, Madame Mo added, "Lulu, you must treat Yang Yang well in the future. You are not allowed to bully her, okay?" Madame Mo didn't know how many times she had said this. Mo Chishin nodded and smiled. "Don't worry, I know." "Well then, I won't disturb your sleep anymore. I'm going back." Madame Mo turned around and went towards the door. Mo Chishin saw her off. "Mom, wait a minute." "What is it?" Madame Mo turned back. Mo Chishin continued, "Who are you planning to introduce to my mother-in-law?" Madame Mo said, "I originally wanted to introduce Dehui to her, but Mrs. Liu said Dehui is about to get engaged to her niece. I'm still scouting someone." "Oh." Mo Chishin nodded. After Madame Mo returned to her room, the old master Mo immediately asked, "How is it?" Madame Mo said, "The age of Yang Yang's mom is similar to Tingting's, it's just that the family background does not match. Yang Yang's mom also has a brother at her house. And I Tsuehua grew up in the countryside. During those times the preference for boys over girls was even more severe. Who would go and adopt a daughter for no reason? Maybe a family that was unable to bear children would." Old Master Mo continued, "Stop worrying about these things, it's been so many years. If Tingting were still around she would have been found. If not, there's probably not much hope." Madame Mo casually threw a pillow at Old Master Mo. "Can you say something nice for once? What do you mean by, no hope? What if Aching hears this, how sad would she be?" Old Master Mo rubbed his nose. "Didn't you always say I have a prophet's mouth? Are you proud of that?" Old Master Mo. "Today is the birthday of Madame Shangguan, so the entire Shangguan family is gathered. But they're all just family. Because it wasn't her actual birthday, Madame Shangguan didn't want to make a big fuss. Besides Shangguan Dehui, Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, Shangguan Farong, her daughter, and Zhou Guojun, her son-in-law, as well as her grandchild Zhou Long and granddaughter Zhou Feng were also present. Madame Shangguan sat at the head of the table, glowing with health. In a moment she put down her chopsticks and looked at Shangguan Dehui. "Dehui, how are things going with Lin Fang?" Chapter 510. Training Class. Lady Shangguan exposes the true faces of Lin Fang and her mother. Understood. "That's fine." Shangguan Dehui quickly put down his chopsticks. Lin Fang is the kind of woman who knows how to manage a household, and that's precisely what he's lacking. A wife. That's how their relationship stands. "Since you've said it's fine, then it's good." Madame Shangguan hesitated for a moment and then continued, "Dehui, you're of age now and Lin Fang isn't a young girl anymore. When you have some free time, bring her home for all of us to meet and let's settle the wedding date early. Mom, we can't simply settle such matters all of a sudden. Shangguan Furong jumped in. What does that woman do for a living? Is she worthy of my brother? Don't let him marry a woman with ulterior motives. Shangguan Furong graduated from a postgraduate program, and the Zhou family is a traditional aristocratic family. Therefore, she always carries around an air of arrogance and particularly values equal social status in marriage. She does not want a sister-in-law unfit for public appearances. Shangguan, she said with a smile, Auntie, rest assured. Aunt Lin comes from an educated family, and even has a scholar among her ancestors 3 generations ago. Aunt Lin is also quite accomplished, she's currently teaching in a kindergarten. Shangguan Furong nodded. An educated background is good. Your father has always been an excellent student, and if he marries any woman with just a junior high school education, it would not only be unsuitable, but they also wouldn't have common topics to discuss. Besides, being a teacher is a respectable job. In 1980s China, besides workers, there were 3 other prime professions. They were doctors, teachers, and public servants. Shangguan Furong has a higher level of education, so she could accept cultured people more easily. Was that woman married before? Or has she always been single? Shangguan Furong then asked. Shangguan, she replied, Aunt Lin was married once before, but her husband died in a car accident a few years ago. She's been living alone ever since. She has a daughter named Jianghu who is 18 this year. Shangguan Furong said, It's okay if it's a girl, she's bound to get married sooner or later anyway. If it were a boy, she would have to worry about whether he will compete with Shangguan Su for an inheritance. Does she have any other family members? Shangguan Furong continued. Shangguan, she replied, Oh yes, Aunt Lin also tends to her sick, bedridden mother-in-law. Shangguan Furong slightly frowned. Madame Shangguan chuckled and said, Having a bedridden mother-in-law isn't a problem, we can just hire a caregiver when the time comes. What I value the most is Lin Fang's character. Her willingness to care for her sick mother-in-law for many years without complaint shows that she is not a bad person. Shangguan Furong initially had some reservations, but upon hearing Madame Shangguan's words, she didn't have much to argue about anymore. She turned her head towards Shangguan Dehui and asked, So big brother, when are you planning to bring her home so we can see her? On the matter of remarrying, Shangguan Dehui has always been rather passive. Upon hearing this he replied, There's no need to rush. I'll discuss this with Xiaolin when I have the time. Aren't you off work tomorrow? Just ask Xiaolin out tomorrow and talk to her about it. Dehui, at your age, every minute is precious. You can't delay Xiaolin. I understand. Shangguan Dehui nodded. Shangguan Furong stared thoughtfully at Shangguan Dehui. After dinner she made a point to find Shangguan Dehui. Big brother. What is it? Shangguan Dehui looked at Shangguan Furong. Brother, are you still thinking about Daya? Shangguan Furong narrowed her eyes. No. Shangguan Dehui kept a straight face. It's been so many years, I'm surprised you still remember. That incident created such a huge uproar back then. How could Shangguan Furong possibly forget? Shangguan Dehui almost ended up a confirmed bachelor. If it hadn't been for Madame Shangguan's threat, he would still be alone even now. Speaking of it, Shangguan Dehui is a man of deep affection. It's just a pity that fate can be so cruel. Big brother, you should stop thinking about her. Shangguan Furong continued, Daya might not even remember who you are. You're the only one pining for her all these years. In truth, Shangguan Furong made a lot of sense. If Daya remembered Shangguan Dehui or also liked him, they wouldn't have missed each other all these years. Besides, in Shangguan Furong's eyes, Daya was simply not worthy of Shangguan Dehui. After all, Daya was just a country girl. She was a servant girl back then and is probably a rural housewife now. Her status just doesn't match the Shangguan families. Chapter 511. Training Class. Mrs. Shangguan exposes the true faces of Lin Fang and her mother. 3. Shangguan Dehui said with a smile, You're overthinking it. Shangguan Furong said, that Lin Fang seems to have decent qualifications, and though she may not come from a wealthy background, she's presentable. Brother, you must seize the opportunity well. Shangguan Dehui nodded. Then Shangguan Dehui continued, Brother, be honest with me, do you still have feelings for Daya? I've long forgotten about her. Shangguan Dehui said casually. Shangguan Furong said with a smile, If you've really forgotten, then why haven't you found someone new over all these years? Shangguan Dehui was silent for a while, eventually not saying much. During this period, having nearly finished dealing with other trivial matters including those concerning Xianxia, Yang began to officially handle the restaurant's affairs. The renovation of the restaurant had already progressed by a third and was expected to open around August. Yang wanted to create a different dining experience, prioritizing service first and then the dishes. After all, in the future there is a saying, service comes first. In the service in different 80s, elevating the overall service level would be a unique feature. Moreover, this time Yang was not setting up a budget restaurant, but venturing into a high-end restaurant, implementing a VIP membership system with no branches, just this one exclusive establishment. After all, scarcity breeds value. To elevate the overall service consciousness, there must be a distinctive corporate culture and a custom-made customer-first service manual. Having considered this early on, whenever Yang had some free time, she would be found hunched over the table, drawing and writing. Indeed, what she was creating was this material. Yang indeed had the advantage of experiences from her past life. As long as the marketing strategy remained unchanged, the rest was relatively simple. Early in the morning, Yang had posted recruitment notices on the bulletin board next to the restaurant. Just as she finished posting, people began to gather around. The general manager's salary is 120 yuan. The deputy general manager's salary is 100 yuan. Managers get 80 yuan, while regular waiters and food runners earn 40 yuan. Even dishwashers get 40 yuan. My goodness, am I seeing things? In this era, a teacher's salary is less than 30 yuan a month, and a waiter at a state-run hotel earns just 15 yuan a month. Yet here, a regular waiter's salary goes up to 40 yuan a month. How could people not be surprised? Yang stood by and said with a smile, "You're not seeing things, it's really that much." If she wanted to offer a unique dining experience, naturally she had to raise the wages. If everyone is getting the same salary, who would want to work themselves to the bone like a servant? An on-looking lady then asked, "Young lady, what is your role in this restaurant?" Yang replied with a gentle smile, "I'm in charge of recruitment." The lady continued, "Young lady, then what position do you think would suit me?" "How old are you?" Yang asked. "I'm 41 this year," the lady answered. Being 41 certainly wouldn't work for a front house position. Yang said, "You could consider working in logistics." "What do logistics involve?" asked the curious lady. "That would be cleaning and dishwashing," Yang explained. The lady nodded, "That could work. I might not be good at other things, but am good at washing dishes." In this era, private enterprises are scarce, and it's tough to get into state-owned units without connections, even for a dishwashing job. The lady didn't expect that she could earn 40 yuan a month just washing dishes. It was almost like found money. Yang handed the lady a form and a pen. "If you are interested, please fill this out, and join us the day after tomorrow morning for a medical checkup at the hospital to get a health certificate. The day after that, you can start the pre-employment training." Since Yang was in the catering industry, health was very important. "A medical checkup?" The lady was stunned. "Young lady, this isn't some sort of trick to get me to do a health check, is it? A full-body checkup costs a yuan." Yang said with a laugh, "The cost will be covered by our restaurant, you won't need to pay a penny." "Really?" The lady was a bit skeptical. "Really?" Yang nodded. "That's better," continued the lady. "So what's this training about? Is there a salary during the training period?" "The training period lasts a month, and the salary will be paid as usual." "Really?" The lady was somewhat incredulous. "Is there really such a great deal in the world?" Yang smiled faintly and countered, "First, we aren't asking you for any money, and second, we don't want anything from you. What do you think I could deceive you out of? Besides, do you think Beijing's police would let me openly deceive people here?" Chapter 512. Training Class, Lady Shengguan exposes the true faces of Lin Fang and her mother. 4. Joking aside, the police in Beijing are not to be trifled with. It's an era of severe crackdown. Who would dare to scam like this? Unless they want to serve a heavy sentence. After Yang explained this, the old lady immediately dropped her guard and began filling out the form. Seeing how quickly the old lady filled out the form, the second and third applicants approached quickly. They were a mix of men and women, young and old, all applying for waitering, food delivering, and logistic positions. There were no applicants for the positions of general manager, deputy manager, and manager. However, Yang was not shocked. After all, these positions required experience and a certain level of education. Also, it was only the first day of advertisement. Many people were still not aware of this opportunity. She believed there would definitely be inquiries tomorrow. In the evening, Yang took a detour to Walt Road on her way home and bought some meat, vegetables and pastries to take along. Although they had received the 10,000 yuan from Zheng Xianjing, Zhou Tianbao had not moved from his place. He was illiterate and could only earn a living as a laborer. However, the income from this work was barely enough to feed him, so he had to save the money for Fua's future wedding. As for education, he had already given up on the hope of Fua going to school. As long as Fua could grow up safely, get married and pass down the Zhou family line, he would be satisfied. Sister Yang. Seeing Yang, Fua ran over enthusiastically and hugged Yang. Fua, there is mud on your hands, don't dirty Sister Yang's clothes. Zhou Tianbao followed behind. Hearing this, Fua immediately let go of Yang. Yang smiled and said, It's okay. Fua, these are presents for you and your dad. Are you happy? Yang handed the bag in her hand to Fua. Fua hesitated and did not accept it right away. Because his father had told him that Sister Yang had already done a lot for them. They couldn't always be asking for more. Take it. Zhou Tianbao said, Miss you don't need to bring something every time you come. You've already helped our family a lot. Yang said, It's just a small token of appreciation, not a big deal. Please let Fua accept it. Zhou Tianbao didn't know what to say. He was really moved. Miss you are really a good person. Yang was not only a good person, but also a blessing to their family. Ever since they met Yang, his health had improved greatly, Sun Dalian had been found, and they had even unexpectedly received 10,000 yuan. With this 10,000 yuan, they finally had something to rely on in Beijing. Miss don't stand outside. Come inside and sit down. Fua hopped and skipped ahead to open the door for Yang. The room was no longer as dirty and messy as before. Everything inside was neatly arranged and it looked very comfortable at first glance. Zhou Tianbao took out the best tea leaves in the house and busily prepared tea for Yang. Meanwhile, Fua took out his cherished candies. Sister Yang, have some candy. Thank you, Fua. Yang picked up a piece of candy. The candy had been stored for so long that it had stuck to its wrapper. However, Yang didn't mind. Under Zhou Fua's expectant gaze, she unwrapped the candy and put it in her mouth. Miss be careful. It's hot. Zhou Tianbao put the teacup in front of Yang. Thank you. Yang continued, By the way, Fua's dad, are you still working at the grain store? Yes, Zhou Tianbao nodded. Yang asked, How much do you earn in a month at the grain store? Zhou Tianbao answered, The grain store pays daily, 3 cents a day. 3 cents a day. Although she knew that the wages of laborers were low at that time, Yang didn't expect that carrying grain, such a strenuous task, only paid 3 cents a day. That meant he only made 9 yuan a month, barely enough to get by. Have you thought about changing jobs? Yang asked. After all, Fua is growing up and he will need to attend primary school, middle school, high school and university. Clearly his current wage wasn't going to be enough for that. Only the wealthy could afford preschool in this era, so Yang didn't mention it. Mentioning the issue of school, a bright light appeared in Fua's eyes. Zhou Tianbao smiled bitterly, I don't have an education and I can't read. I can't find a better job. Even the job at the grain store cost me 3 yuan to get. I've thought about it, I won't let Fua go to school anymore. I have 10,000 yuan here. When Fua grows up, he'll take him back to the countryside, buy a house and find a wife for him. Chapter 513. Training Class. Mrs. Shangguan exposes the true faces of Lin Fong and her mother. 5. The poor have their own way of living as do the rich. Although it is impossible to find work without an education, it is still possible to return to the hometown and farm the land. Upon hearing this, Fua's eyes gradually darkened. He does not want to grow up to be like his father, but he is powerless to change the status quo. Yang said, It's unacceptable not to let Fua go to school. I have a decent job here, would you like to try? What job? Zhou Tianbao asked. Warehouse manager, Yang replied. What is a warehouse manager? Zhou Tianbao asked, somewhat puzzled. Yang explained to him what a warehouse manager was. Yang wanted to expand the restaurant, and a warehouse manager is definitely indispensable. Although the warehouse manager may seem like a minor role, it is actually very important as it manages the vital point of a restaurant. Yang wouldn't trust anyone else with this position, but she could do so with Zhou Tianbao without hesitation. Zhou Tianbao is grateful and is not the same kind of person as Xianxia. Upon hearing this, Zhou Tianbao hesitated. I'm afraid I can't handle it, I can't read. What if I cause trouble for Ni Yang who trusts me so much? Ni Yang smiled and said, the warehouse manager checks the goods and equipment incoming and outgoing from the warehouse, keeps records and distributes the goods. It's enough if you can make sure the accounts are correct, you don't need to recognize too many characters. I'm not asking you to start working right away, there's still over a month of training. Zhou Tianbao was somewhat lacking in self-confidence. Ni Yang continued, there will be a dedicated teacher to teach you. As long as you study hard, there will be no problem recognizing the basic characters. Adults who have fully developed brains can learn to recognize characters better than children as long as they are willing. Seeing that Zhou Tianbao was still indecisive, Ni Yang added, Fua is only 6 years old, his life has infinite possibilities. For the sake of Fua you should give it a try. For a common family, education is perhaps not the only way out, but it is the best way. Among all things, only education is the most valuable. After a long hesitation, Zhou Tianbao finally accepted, all right Miss N, I'll give it a try. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, rest assured, I won't let you down. Ni Yang smiled and nodded, that's a deal. I believe in you. Come for training the day after tomorrow, the address is number 619 Jianghu Road. All right. Zhou Tianbao nodded. After finalizing this matter, Ni Yang intended to say goodbye. Before leaving, Fua led Ni Yang by the hand to show her his clay creations. Fua proudly said, Sister Ni Yang, look, I made all these clay figures on my own. Ni Yang looked at the clay figures, falling into an unexplained silence. After a while, she looked down at Fua and asked, Fua, what's your full name? Fua replied, my full name is Zhou Fua. Zhou Fua. Ni Yang had originally thought Fua was just a nickname, but she never expected Fua to be his real name. Zhou Fua indeed. The later famous large-scale jewelry brand that spread across the north and south was called Zhou Fua. Looking at how Fua was making clay figures, Ni Yang was almost certain that Fua was the future founder of Zhou Fua Jewelry. The future jeweler magnate was different even in the way he played with clay. Ni Yang continued, Fua, could you tell me what these figures you've made are? Ni Yang didn't expect to meet a future jeweler magnate. The feeling was quite mystical. Fua said, this is a ring, this is a bracelet, this is a gem necklace. Sister Ni Yang, when I grow up, I will definitely buy these things and give them to you. Ni Yang was surprised and said, really? Really? Fua nodded seriously. Not only these things, but he also wanted to give Sister Ni Yang all the best things in the world. Ni Yang smiled and said, then I should thank you in advance. Fua said shyly, you're welcome. The next day, Ni Yang continued to recruit in front of the restaurant. As she predicted, the number of people who came to interview for the positions of general manager, deputy general manager, and manager increased on this day. After all, the salaries that she offered were relatively high. Under the attractive salaries, all positions were filled by the afternoon of the very same day. With the addition of the front of the house, the kitchen, logistics, and the managers, a total of 150 people were recruited. The restaurant has 3 floors in total, covering an area close to 2,000 square meters. It really wasn't too many to have 150 employees. Chapter 514, Training Class. Mrs. Shangguan exposes the true faces of Lin Fong and her mother. 6. It's still in the development phase now, it's fine to keep recruiting if it gets too busy later on. The next morning, Ni Yen arranged for 3 buses to take everyone to the hospital for physical examinations. There were a lot of people, so Ni Yen didn't return home until late in the evening. Once the health certificates were issued, it was time to start training. The training for logistics and front desk waitstaff were separate. Ni Yen rented 2 large rooms as classrooms and hired 4 instructors. All 4 instructors were foreigners. Chinese people at this time still hadn't fully embraced the concept of good customer service, therefore she had to bring in foreign instructors. Of course, the fees for the foreign instructors weren't cheap. But Ni Yen didn't care about the cost. She was determined to make the restaurant successful and didn't begrudge spending money. Before training began, Ni Yen gave a speech about her company culture and customer-first philosophy. These foreign instructors had been educated with the latest teaching methods, so they understood immediately what Ni Yen meant. One foreign instructor gave Ni Yen a thumbs up. Miss Ni, you are truly amazing. Who would think about putting customers first at this time? Even in Western countries, it was not a given to truly put customers first. Although this girl didn't look very old, her potential was enormous. China is becoming more and more powerful. Thank you. N.I. Yen smiled faintly. N.I. Yen sat in on 2 classes to ensure the instructors were teaching correctly before she left with peace of mind. N.I. Yen went to the noodle restaurant. Just as she reached the entrance, she bumped into Madame Shangguan as she was leaving. Yang. Madam. N.I. Yen greeted her with a smile. Madame Shangguan held N.I. Yan's hand. Yang, I haven't seen you in quite some time. Where have you been lately? N.I. Yen said, I've been busy with some things recently, so I didn't come to the restaurant. I had some free time today, so I decided to visit. Oh. Madame Shangguan nodded, then asked, so does that mean you're free today? Yes. N.I. Yen nodded. Madame Shangguan continued, could you accompany me on a shopping trip? Xiaoxi isn't home today and Xiaoxi was also unavailable. N.I. Yen, who liked Madame Shangguan dearly, agreed to accompany her upon learning that she was alone. Together they went shopping. They arrived at the clothing market and Madame Shangguan asked, Yang, what should I wear when I meet my future daughter-in-law for the first time? N.I. Yen looked at Madame Shangguan in surprise. Madame Shangguan explained, Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi's mother passed away early. With that explanation, N.I. Yen understood. She pointed at one of the clothes. That date red one is pretty good. It was a date red silk blouse, elegant but trendy, very suitable for the elderly. Madame Shangguan's eyes lit up and she nodded in agreement. This one is indeed good. Let me help you get it. The clothing market was big and there were many customers. The sales assistants could not provide one-on-one service, so N.I. Yen decided to do it herself. Just as she grabbed the blouse, it was forcefully snatched away by another hand. Mom, look how nice this blouse is. N.I. Yen looked up slightly, saying calmly, I saw this blouse first. You saw it first? Then why is it in my hand now? Besides, can someone like you, a self-employed person who couldn't make it onto stage, afford such clothes? Jianghu scoffed, her face full of mockery. N.I. Yen had no impression of Jianghu, but Jianghu's impression of N.I. Yen was deeply ingrained. This disgraceful self-employed person, she took the title of class beauty on her first day in their class. Jianghu despised her to the bone. Finally, having found a rare chance, Jianghu was eager to humiliate N.I. Yen. Madame Shangguan furrowed her brow. What's the matter with the way you talk, young lady? So, I can't even mention the word self-employed? Jianghu countered. Xiaoya. Lin Fang pulled at Jianghu's sleeve. The people who came to this clothing store were either rich or noble. Lin Fang was not brainless, she was about to marry into a wealthy family. Offending people at this critical timing was not a good idea. Jianghu knew what Lin Fang was worried about and whispered, that woman is a self-employed student who joined our class. You don't have to worry. A mere self-employed person, was there any need to fear offending her? Upon hearing this, Lin Fang relaxed. Chapter 5:15. Teaching Dominance in Life, Traveling Abroad _1. She was about to marry into a prestigious family, and a self-employed person like her was not worth her attention. Thinking this way, Lin Fang looked at N.I. Yang with a surge of contempt. In her view, how could a self-employed person afford to shop in such a luxurious clothing mall? Even herself, before she hooked up with Shangguan Dehui, couldn't afford to shop in such a place. She was there to pick out a piece of clothing for Shangguan old madam. After all, she would be meeting her future mother-in-law for the first time, so naturally she needed to impress her. Moreover, the dress Jianghu was holding was indeed quite nice, stylish and not at all old-fashioned, and it was made of real silk. It was bound to please Shangguan old madam. Lin Fang sneered sarcastically, Xiaoya, why are you wasting your words on someone like her? Aren't you afraid of lowering your own status? Her daughter was about to become a young miss of a wealthy family. How could she afford to get entangled with a self-employed person? It would be a laughingstock if word got out. Let's not forget, the wealthy families take their social standing very seriously. Jianghu, with a smirk on her face, hooked arm with Lin Fang and pointedly said, some people like to pretend to be wealthy. They have no idea where they are. Can a self-employed person like her afford this dress? Such an embarrassment. A silk top that costs over 300 yuan. If it wasn't for the sake of showing respect to Shangguan old madam, they themselves wouldn't be willing to buy it, considering the clothes Lin Fang bought for herself only cost just over 100 yuan. During her relationship with Shangguan Dehui, Lin Fang had almost spent all her savings from over the years, including the compensation money she received after her husband's death. But these were all temporary. Once Lin Fang marries into the Shangguan family, she would become a rich lady. Then how much money would she have? The more Jianghu thought about it, the more smug she felt. She acted as if she had already become a young wealthy miss. Shangguan old madam's face darkened. Shangguan old madam, who had been indulged all these years, was used to being treated with respect. When had she ever been treated with such disrespect? She had never seen such disrespectful and uneducated people. She wondered how they were brought up in their homes. Apologize. You must apologize to us now. Lin Fang looked at Shangguan old madam and sneered, apologize? Why should we apologize to you? Since when was it forbidden to call a spade a spade? If anyone should be apologizing, it's you. Do you know how much time you've wasted by entangling with us? Time is money, and our valuable time can't be made up with a mere apology. Lin Fang played her victim card impeccably. Jianghu placed her hands on her hips and threatened, apologize. If you don't apologize to us today, it'll make you regret it. With the Shangguan family's influence in Beijing, it would be easy to deal with these two people. Just earlier, Shangguan old madam thought these two mother and daughter were rude, but now she felt they were shamelessly disgraceful. They were utterly shameless. Shangguan old madam was trembling with anger. It's not worth getting mad over such people. And Yang held Shangguan old madam's arm. Old madam, let's leave. You want to leave before apologizing to us? Jianghu rudely extended her arm to block Yang and Shangguan old madam's path. Don't overstep your boundaries. Yang raised her eyes slightly, a hint of coldness in their depths, causing Jianghu to flinch slightly. That was not the look of a mere self-employed person. It was slightly terrifying. But she was about to become the daughter of a rich family. How could Yang compete with her? Thinking this, Jianghu regained her courage, raised her hand and swung towards Yang's face. You wench. Apologize or not. There were no salespeople or other customers here. If Yang got slapped, she would have to swallow her grievances. Moreover, Jianghu had long wanted to slap Yang. Today she finally got the chance to vent some steam. Although Yang knew Jianghu was targeting her, she was clueless about when she had crossed paths with such a character. There were 60 to 70 people in her new group, and she had only attended a few meetups. Apart from Han Xiaoyu, who she was closest to, she had no recollection of anyone else. Smack. A crisp slap reverberated in the air. By the time Shangguan old madam and Lin Fang regained their senses, they saw Yang slowly retracting her hand from mid-air. She held Jianghu's raised hand with a smile on her face. Since no one at home taught you how to behave, I guess you'll have to step in to do the job. Chapter 516. Dominance teaches how to be a human. Traveling abroad _2. Her voice was soft, but her momentum was strong. She was like an elder scolding a youngster. Lin Fang covered her mouth in surprise, her eyes filled with terror. She never thought that the person who'd been slapped was Jianghu. You dare to hit me? Jianghu exclaimed in disbelief. Well, why not slap you? Don't agree with it? If there's a next time, it won't be as simple as a slap. She radiated audacity, shining brightly from head to toe, attracting attention. Do you know who I am? Staring at her, Yang said slowly, even if you're the king's father, I won't hesitate to hit you. Jianghu's almond eyes seemed to burn with fire. Yang, I tell you, my father is very powerful. I will make you regret what you did. You just wait. Hearing this, old lady Shangguan frowned slightly. She was thinking that Jianghu's father must not be a good person either. Why else would he have raised a daughter like this? What a sad family. All right, it'll be ready anytime. Yang responded with a light smile. This is too much. Yang is really too much. Jianghu wished she could kill Yang right then. You let me go. Jianghu squirmed. At this moment, Lin Fang also snapped out of it and rushed over. Let my daughter go. Originally, Lin Fang wanted to call the police to get justice for her daughter, but she was headed to the Shangguan family in 2 days to recognize her relatives. This was a crucial time. It was better to avoid trouble. After all, there are many taboos in wealthy families. Moreover, they were not in the right here. Jianghu was the first to act, and Yang was just defending herself. Get out. With those words, Yang grabbed Jianghu's hand and flung her harshly. Jianghu lost her footing and toppled onto Lin Fang. Then Yang pulled out a plain white handkerchief from her pocket and carefully wiped her fingers. After cleaning one hand, she moved to the other, behaving as if she had touched something disgusting. After she finished, Yang balled up the handkerchief and threw it into a trash can 10 meters away, right in front of the mother-daughter duo. Jianghu's already swollen face turned a shade of purplish red from anger. Madam, let's go. Ni Yang cheerfully linked arms with old lady Shangguan, and they strolled off. All right. Old lady Shangguan happily followed Ni Yang after seeing Changyu slapped. Pissed off, Changyu stomped her foot and tried to run after them, but Lin Fang held her back. Mom? Changyu was not satisfied. Was she just supposed to accept the slap? Lin Fang said, we're going to the Shangguan family the day after tomorrow. It's better to avoid trouble at such times. Also, the individual is not as easy to bully as you think. If it were really so easy to bully, Changyu wouldn't have been slapped. You just watched as I was bullied. Are you really my mom? Changyu screamed angrily. Lin Fang said, you're my daughter, how can I not be heartbroken when you're bullied? But now is not the time for revenge. In a few days after I marry your uncle Shangguan, you can take revenge however you like. Lin Fang's words placated Changyu. Right. She just needs to endure for now. She will make Ni Yang pay later. Changyu bit her lip and then asked, we're going to the Shangguan family the day after tomorrow. What should I do about the wound on my face? Let's pay for the clothes first. Then we'll go to the pharmacy and get some medicine. Once we're home, I'll put an egg on it for you. I'll be better in 2 days. All right. In a sense of helplessness, Changyu agreed. Just wait, when the time comes she will disfigure Ni Yang's face and make her regret today's actions. Lin Fang and Changyu went to pay for the clothes and then visited the pharmacy. Meanwhile, Ni Yang and old lady Shangguan arrived on the second floor. Today's Ni Yang surprised old lady Shangguan. She originally thought Ni Yang could only tolerate being beaten. Who would have thought that Ni Yang would win so beautifully? Impressive. Really impressive. Young girls nowadays rarely have her kind of courage. Yang, did you learn martial arts? Old lady Shangguan asked. In her previous life, Ni Yang did learn martial arts. After all, she was a rich lady. How could she not have some self-defense skills? Plus, after being reborn and saving a high-ranking official, her strength had increased. Actually, Ni Yang in her previous life wasn't this impressive. Chapter 517, Dominance teaches how to be a human, traveling abroad _3. I've learned a bit of martial art, Ni Yang answered truthfully. Good, Lady Shangguan nodded in approval. It's indeed good for a girl to learn some self-defense skills. We'll have Xiaoxi start learning it when we get back home. Ni Yang smiled and nodded. Lady Shangguan continued, that mother-daughter duo just now was really troublesome. Anyone who marries such a girl would be bringing misfortune upon his family. Indeed quite troublesome, Ni Yang added. I had a feeling that girl was targeting me, but I've never even met her before. It's really strange. I think they did it on purpose. Snobbish bitches. Just because they have a bit of money they start acting as if they're from the high and mighty. Lady Shangguan's impression of Lin Fang and Changyu couldn't have been worse. After all, it was the first time in her life that she had come across such outrageous people. The dress from before is available here too. Do you want to buy it? Ni Yang pointed to an identical dress. No need. Who would want to wear the same clothing as those types of people? Yang, let's choose something different. All right. Ni Yang nodded slightly. This time Ni Yang chose a noblewoman's dress for Mrs. Mo, complemented by a coordinating silk scarf. It must be stated Ni Yang had a discerning eye. After Mrs. Mo put on this dress, she looked several years younger, her elegance radiating. Yang, is it pretty? Lady Shangguan twirled around like a child. Yes, like an elderly empress dowager, Ni Yang seriously complimented. Laughing, Lady Shangguan replied, you're always making up stories to indulge me. I'm telling the truth. Lady Shangguan happily went to pay the bill. Just as Lin Fang and Changyu got home, a distinguished guest arrived. This person was Lin Hohot, Lin Fang's aunt. Since she married well at an early age, she was now considered a semi-high society member and everyone called her Auntie Lin. Why only a semi-high society member? Because her husband's financial standing pale in comparison to half of the other high society members, and that is why she's so keen on playing matchmaker. Once a match is made, their family gains the support of 2 more dependable families. Fortunately, the high society do lack this profession. Real high society ladies would not be willing to stoop to playing matchmaker and being subjected to others' orders. Auntie's here. Lin Fang courteously welcomed Auntie Lin into the house. Even the usually arrogant and domineering Changyu greeted, hello, Auntie Grandma. Good. Auntie Lin nodded in satisfaction. Xiaoya is getting prettier as she grows, she'll definitely be successful in the future. A hint of complacency appeared at the corner of Changyu's mouth. Lin Fang said, "Look at this child, she knows nothing. Hurry up and thank your auntie grandma." Jianghu promptly said, "Thank you, auntie grandma." Auntie Lin continued, "But what happened to your face? Lin Fang, did you hit her?" Upon hearing this, a hint of malice flickered in Jianghu's eyes. "All because of that bitch and I Yang." Lin Fang nonchalantly answered, "How could I hit her? She bumped into a wall by herself." "Oh," Auntie Lin continued, "you'll soon be going to the Shangguan family to be recognized as a relative. It's better not to have any injuries on your face. The wealthy families pay great attention to appearances." "Auntie, don't worry, I'm aware of that." Looking at Jianghu, Lin Fang continued, "Hurry and pour some tea for your auntie grandma." "All right." Lin Fang pulled out a chair. "Auntie, please sit." Her chances of marrying into the Shangguan family greatly increased thanks to Auntie Lin. Without her introducing the match, where else could she have such an opportunity? At this moment, Lin Fang would happily put Auntie Lin on a pedestal and worship her like a bodhisattva. Because her mother-in-law looked down upon her, Auntie Lin usually had to suffer in their family. Only here, with Lin Fang, could she experience what it felt like to be important. Auntie Lin laughed and said, "Lin Fang, there's no need to be so courteous, we're family." "Auntie, did you come over because there's something you need to tell me?" Lin Fang asked. Auntie Lin nodded. "Lin Fang, you're going to the Shangguan house to be recognized as a relative in 2 days. Have you prepared any gifts for Lady Shangguan?" "Don't worry, I've prepared everything." "That's good." Auntie Lin continued, "Lin Fang, the Shangguan family is not an ordinary one. After you get there, be sure to watch your behavior and speech. You have already won over Shangguan de Hui, so now all you have to do is please Lady Shangguan. Lady Shangguan, being from Jiangnan, loves sweet foods. You should use this opportunity to show off your culinary skills." Chapter 518. Teaching Dominance in Life, Traveling Abroad _4. I get it. Lin Fang nodded. "Auntie, race your tea." Jianghu placed the brewed tea in front of Granny Lin. Lin Fang looked up and said, "You should go inside and study. Your auntie and I still have things to discuss." "Okay." Jianghu turned and walked towards the room. Lin Fang turned to Granny Lin and whispered, "Auntie, do you think Xiaoya has a chance of marrying into the Shangguan family?" Granny Lin was startled. She did not expect Lin Fang to be so ambitious. "That's hard to say." Granny Lin responded, "However, considering Xiaoya's appearance, if she works hard, I suppose there shouldn't be any issue. Jianghu was quite pretty, otherwise she wouldn't have been class belle in the past." Lin Fang's eyes lit up. "So, the Shangguan family is not bothered by such things?" Granny Lin patted Lin Fang's hand. "Fang, don't worry too much about it for now. Think about these things slowly after marrying into the Shangguan family." "Okay." Lin Fang nodded, her mind filling with calculations. "Hungry? I'm hungry. I'm starving." A pitiful cry broke the silence. Lin Fang's face was burning with wrath. Granny Lin glanced towards the direction of the storage room and asked with a complicated expression, "Is that old hag still alive?" "No." Lin Fang shook her head, gritting her teeth. "Although that damned old hag is paralyzed, her other organs are still functioning. Lin Fang only tosses a few buns at old lady Chang each day, but she just wouldn't die." "Auntie, do you think I should—" Lin Fang gave Granny Lin a suggestive look halfway through her sentence. "Old lady Chang no longer has any other children. If anything happened, there wouldn't even be anyone to report it. Furthermore, Lin Fang had been taking care of her for 3 years. For 3 years, the reputation of being a good daughter-in-law has already spread. Keeping old lady Chang around serves no other purpose. Not only was she useless, but she was also exasperating. No way." Granny Lin immediately put a stop to Lin Fang's idea. "Why not?" Lin Fang was puzzled. Granny Lin continued, "The Shangguan family values your virtuous and filial character, especially the matriarch of the Shangguan family. If anything goes wrong with this old hag at this stage, they might suspect something." Lin Fang asked incredulously, "Do I have to bring this damned old hag to the Shangguan family?" Granny Lin laughed. "The Shangguan family has many servants. Even if you were to bring her to the Shangguan family, it wouldn't increase your burden. On the contrary, it would make you more impressive in the Shangguan family's eyes." "That makes sense," Lin Fang continued, "but what if that damned old hag keeps spouting nonsense? That's simple, just give her some mute drugs when the time comes and you won't have to worry about it." With this said, Lin Fang felt completely reassured. "All right, take this." Granny Lin handed Lin Fang an exquisite bag. What is this? Lin Fang was curious. This is ice skin jade face cream. Granny Lin continued, you're about to become a wealthy lady. You have to keep up with the trends in high society. At present, the ice skin jade face cream had become a popular trend in high society. Lin Fang watched as she opened the bag. Oh, it's skincare products. Granny Lin continued, don't look down on these skincare products. Every matron and miss of high society is using them. There's a whitening and moisturizing cream that's limited to 60 bottles per store every month. Not only is it expensive, but you also need to reserve it 3 months in advance. Granny Lin added, give this ice skin jade face cream to Shangguan Farong. She'll be thrilled. As far as I know, the matriarch of the Shangguan family listens to Shangguan Farong. Granny Lin, having spent many years navigating high society, had a deep understanding of the people within it. It doesn't feel right, Auntie. You've already helped me so much. Lin Fang refused. That's not true. Granny Lin continued, Fang, you are my own niece. As long as you remember your auntie when you marry into the Shangguan family, that's enough. Lin Fang immediately nodded, you can count on me, Auntie. I can forget anyone but never you. You're even closer to me than my own mother. A satisfied expression crossed Granny Lin's eyes. By the way, have you been intimate with Shangguan Dehui? After all, she was a woman who had been married before. Asking such a question was not a taboo for her. Lin Fang blushed. No. It seems like this Shangguan Dehui really is a true gentleman. Granny Lin continued, Fang, I know you're an ambitious girl. You have to plan for your future in a way that covers all bases. The Shangguan family already has 2 children, Shangguan Shi and Shangguan Su, so you need to think about bearing another one. Chapter 519. Dominance teaches how to be a human, traveling abroad _5. Have another child? An expression of difficulty flickered through Lin Fang's eyes. If she could have another child, would she still entertain the idea of marrying Jianghu to Shangguan Su? Of course, these were things she could not say to the old lady Lin. Lin Fang nodded, okay, I understand. After instructing her on a few things, the old lady Lin left. Lin Fang saw her off to the bottom of the apartment block. By the time Ni Yang finished shopping for clothes with the old lady Shangguan, it was already past 3 in the afternoon. Taking advantage of this time, Ni Yang visited the 4 noodle restaurants and milk tea shops, which were now managing stable incomes. Next, Ni Yang headed to the skincare shop. Through her efforts over this period, Ni Yang had now opened 3 branches of ice skin jade skin. Looking at the empire she built single-handedly, a faint smile surfaced at the corner of Ni Yang's mouth. The feeling of independence without relying on anyone else was truly great. However, her goal of becoming the richest woman was still a long way off. She still had to make her business bigger and better. After leaving the skincare shop, Ni Yang entered a cafe, ordered a cup of rose summer coffee and a delicate pastry. Rose summer coffee is one of the top-grade coffees in the world. In the future, a cup of it would sell at a staggering price of 1,000 yuan. In the 80s in China, it'd sell for 180 yuan a cup. Adding a pastry, it totaled 220 yuan. Life sometimes requires some ceremonial senses, so Ni Yang didn't find it pricey. There was a small desk calendar on the table. It was only then that Ni Yang belatedly realized that today was the 2nd of July. Ni Qihua's birthday was on July 8th. Last year was her first year in Beijing. At this time she was busy selling pickled vegetable noodles and inadvertently forgot about Ni Qihua's birthday, but she couldn't forget about it this year. What should she give Ni Tsuehua? As Ni Yang stirs her coffee she thought, Ni Tsuehua doesn't seem to lack anything now. Why not take Ni Tsuehua out for a trip? Traveling not only relaxes one's mood, but it also exposes the traveler to local customs, thus broadening their horizons. Wasn't there a popular saying in the future? The world is so big I want to see it. It just so happens that the restaurant hasn't opened yet so she can relax and travel. Once the restaurant opens Ni Yang will be busy again. So where should Ni Tsuehua be taken? Ni Yang squinted her eyes and decided on Miami, Shisua Island in M country. M country's economy is well developed. Affected by the invasion of China, China was far behind M country. At this time, the living standard of M country had already reached that of the year 2000 in China. This trip would surely benefit Ni Tsuehua immensely. Ever since her rebirth, Ni Yang has been trying to broaden Ni Qihua's horizons. Ni Tsuehua hasn't been abroad or seen the sea, so this is perfect. That evening, Yang mentioned this plan at the dinner table. Tsuehua declined. Going abroad would be such a waste of money. Isn't it just a birthday? There's no need for such grand preparations. Yang laughed and said, you don't have to worry about the money. Tsuehua knew Yang had money, but she didn't want to waste it because she knew that it wasn't easy for Yang to earn money. After all, she had been selling spicy sticks for more than 2 months and only earned over 1,000 yuan. Qingrui commented, Yang's mom Yang is sincere in her filial piety, so don't refuse. I've been wanting to travel. Have you noticed that Chunhua hasn't been home since last year? Yang turned her head towards Qingrui. Auntie why don't you come with us? Qingrui said, I won't go. If I were to go, I would let my daughter Chunhua take me. As much as she said that, Qingrui knew she couldn't rely on her daughter at all. Although her daughter had a stable job, the pay was low. She was in the kind of situation where she had no shortage of small changes but lacked large sums of money. Otherwise, she wouldn't hesitate to come home during holidays because round-trip fares for both her and her husband would cost them almost 300 yuan. That was still money, wasn't it? Such a job is at best just good-looking, and it can't compare with Yang's. Qingrui had already accepted. She couldn't count on her daughter anymore in this lifetime. Yang continued, Auntie just come with us. Consider it an early employee benefit from me. If you don't go, my mother won't go either. Going abroad would cost a lot. Qingrui was not the sort of ignorant person. Yang, don't be polite. Besides, I can't go now anyway. You and your mother should go. After saying that, Qingrui continued, don't worry, Tsuehua. I will take good care of the chickens and ducks at home. But Tsuehua still refused. Yang held Qihua's hand. Mom, can you come with me? I really want to go to M country. Tsuehua said, then you can go and play by yourself. Young people like you should travel around and broaden your horizons. I'm really not interested in traveling. M country, F country, I think they're no better than our China. Yang laughed and said, I'm just asking you to go for a trip, not to settle down there. Besides, are you sure you'd let me go and play alone? What if I, a young girl, run into some bad people? Mom, don't you worry about me? At these words, Qihua's originally firm heart began to waver. She was afraid Yang might run into danger. Mom, just come with me, said Yang, pushing the envelope. Qingrui added from the side, Tsuehua, you should go with Yang. It's rare for Yang to be so filial. Besides, it's indeed unsafe for a young girl to travel alone. Only then did Tsuehua agree with some hesitation. Yang continued, then we'll apply for passports tomorrow. Although identity cards were only legally established in 1986, a passport was already needed to travel abroad at that time. Just like in contemporary times, one needed to go to the Public Security Bureau's immigration department to process it. Visa applications had to go through the consulates of various countries. In the 1980s, the closed national doors reopened, igniting a wave of going abroad. Therefore, passports and visas of this era were relatively easy to obtain. What is a passport? Tsuehua asked with confusion. Yang explained, a passport is a document that can prove your nationality and identity. Without a passport you cannot go abroad. Tsuehua nodded, oh I see. The next day, Yang took Tsuehua to apply for a passport early in the morning. Today was also the day when Lin Fang took Jianghu to the Shengguan family to acknowledge kinship. In the morning, Shengguan Dehui drove to pick up Lin Fang. This was Jianghu's first time riding in a car. Prior to this, she had only taken electric trams, so it all felt a bit surreal. Lin Fang and her daughter Jianghu sat in the back seat while Shengguan Dehui drove. How old is Xiaoya this year? Is she still in school? Shengguan Dehui asked. Although he and Lin Fang had been seeing each other for quite some time, Shengguan Dehui only knew she had a daughter, and didn't know any other specifics. Jianghu replied politely, Uncle Shengguan, I'm 17 this year. I'm currently a junior at number 3 City High School. After the summer vacation he'll be a senior. Shengguan Dehui nodded, looking at Xiaoya, I bet her grades are excellent? Not bad, Jianghu replied modestly. In fact, she ranked first in all her exams, her performance was outstanding. Shengguan Dehui continued, your senior year is the crucial time. Have you thought about which college you want to apply to? Jianghu replied, I want to apply to Beijing University, but I don't know if I can get in. Chapter 520, Lin Fang and her daughter's dream of a wealthy life is shattered. 1 Beijing University is a key project 985 school, and with Chang Yu's current grades, there should be no problem. Hearing this, Shangguan Dehui nodded in satisfaction. Being a university professor, he liked students with excellent scores. Lin Fang was very satisfied with Chang Yu's performance. After being around Shangguan Dehui for so long, Lin Fang knew that his approval of Chang Yu had been granted. The car was swift and in no time, they arrived at the Shangguan's residence. The Shangguan's house was a real mansion, in front of it was a magnificent villa, and behind lay a line of servant rooms. In order to enter the villa's main entrance, one needs to cross an artificial pond, which wasn't too big, around 20 to 30 meters wide. A narrow bridge crossed over the pond that was home to water lilies, and beneath the lily pads, koi carp of red and white darted back and forth. Crossing this stone bridge, you could see 2 majestic stone lions standing at the front of the villa. When had Chang Yu ever experienced such grandeur? Even on TV she had never seen anything like it. Just the thought that the villa, the fish pond, and these giant stone lions will all be hers one day elated her beyond measure, and she couldn't suppress her smile. Lin Fang was also visiting the Shangguan's house for the first time. Despite mentally preparing herself beforehand, she was still unable to control her shock. The Shangguans were freaking rich. But Lin Fang managed to keep her emotions under control, striving not to resemble a naive countrywoman and to avoid becoming a joke, like Granny Lu entering the Grand View Garden. Xiaoya. Lin Fang quietly grabbed Chang Yu's hand and whispered a reminder. Chang Yu, being younger, couldn't control her facial expressions as strictly as Lin Fang, but after Lin Fang's warning she quickly composed herself and stopped glancing around impertinently. This way. Shangguan Dehui took the lead, unaware of the interaction between the mother and daughter. All right. Lin Fang replied with a smile. As they approached the main entrance, a servant greeted them and took the car keys and coat from Shangguan Dehui. Sir, you're back. Shangguan Dehui nodded and introduced, this is Lin Fang and this is her daughter Chang. The servant respectfully greeted them. Lin Fang and Chang Yu were both slightly taken aback. This was their first time interacting with a servant. And to have a servant greet them with such respect. The superior feeling was quite satisfying. Chang Yu didn't know how to respond, but Lin Fang quickly replied, hello. Although the person was just a servant, she was visiting the Shangguan's house for the first time and didn't want to leave a poor impression. Leading them deeper into the house, Shangguan Dehui showed them around the grand and glittering mansion, resembling an ancient palace. At this point, Lin Fang couldn't contain her astonishment anymore and was on the verge of exclaiming in wonder. Chang Yu had her eyes wide open, not missing a single corner. The villa was enormous and it took a while for Shangguan Dehui to lead them to the main hall. There were a few people sitting on the sofa in the main hall. Seeing Shangguan Dehui bring people in, Shangguan Shi immediately welcomed them and said, Dad, Aunt Lin. This must be Chang Yu, right? Lin Fang quickly replied, Xiaoya, this is your sister Shi. Chang Yu came forward and grabbed Shangguan Zai's hand. Sister Shi, my mom has long told me how beautiful you are, but you're even more beautiful in person than I imagined. Who doesn't enjoy being complimented? Especially for being pretty. Shangguan Shi had a quite good first impression of her potential sister. Chang Yu, you're very beautiful too. In fact, Chang Yu was indeed a beauty, with her standard almond-shaped eyes, oval face and slender figure. Farong, Sister Su, this is Lin Fang and her daughter, Chang Yu. Shangguan Dehui went on to introduce Lin and Chang to the 2 women on the couch. One of them was Shangguan Farong. The other was Su Fen's older sister, Su Lian. When Shangguan Dehui remarried, as an aunt to both Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, Su Lian certainly had to be present to oversee things. Some stepmothers harbor bad intentions. Moreover, the Shangguans were such a renowned family, she couldn't let others deprive her niece and nephew of what should be theirs. Su Lian examined Lin Fang openly. Indeed, from the moment the mother-daughter duo entered the hall, she had begun to size them up. How should she put it? She felt that the mother and daughter had a bit of an unsophisticated aura, as if they wouldn't fit in high society. Lin Fang followed behind Shangguan Dehui, exchanging pleasantries. Xiaoya, you just call them Aunt and Aunt Su. Shangguan Dehui directed at Chang Yu. Chapter 521. Lin Fang and her daughter's dream of living in luxury shattered. Hello auntie. Chang Yu greeted politely. Auntie? Lin Fang felt something was off the moment she heard those words. So this woman was Su Fen's sister, Shangguan Dehui's original wife? How many years has Su Fen been dead? and why Su Lian is still involved with the Shangguan family. Is she eyeing the Shangguan family's property? That's too shameless. Shangguan Farong had a good impression of Jianghu, smiling and nodded. Although Su Lian was a little dissatisfied, she did not show it. Shangguan Dehui turned to Shangguan Shi. Where is your grandma and your brother? Shangguan Shi said, Grandma felt a sudden headache when she got up this morning. Brother took her to the hospital. Went to the hospital? Is the old lady all right? Should we go to the hospital to check? Lin Fang asked anxiously. Shangguan Shi smiled and said, Auntie Lin, you don't have to worry. I just called and Grandma is fine, they are on their way back. That's good. Lin Fang sighed in relief. Her worried look was such that someone who didn't know would think Lin Fang was the birth daughter of the Shangguan matriarch. Shangguan Dehui continued, Quickly sit down, don't stand. Only then did Lin Fang sit down with Jianghu. Lin Fang picked up the gift box she had prepared in advance. This is a gift I prepared for the old lady, this one is for Farong. At this moment, with both Shangguan Farong and Su Lian present, it was somewhat inappropriate for Lin Fang to bring up the matter of gifts. Because both Shangguan Farong and Su Lian, like Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, were their elders, but Lin Fang hadn't prepared a gift for Su Lian. This made Su Lian feel a little embarrassed. What kind of person is Lin Fang? Does she not realize this? In reality, she did this on purpose to embarrass Su Lian. What was Su Lian? A mere outsider. The Shangguan family gave her a little face by calling her big sister. If the Shangguan family didn't want to deal with her, she would be less than a pile of dog shit. Su Lian had no right to criticize her. Lin Fang did this intentionally to let Su Lian see her place. By coincidence, Shangguan Farong and Su Lian didn't get along. Shangguan Farong smiled and said, You even prepared a gift for me? Seeing Shangguan Farong like this, Lin Fang felt reassured. She handed the prepared gift box to Shangguan Farong. I hope you won't mind, Farong. Shangguan Farong took the gift box, opened it and exclaimed, It's ice skin jade flesh. I've wanted this moisturizing cream for so long but I haven't been able to buy it. You're so thoughtful. No woman does not love beauty. Especially since ice skin jade flesh was so hard to buy. Lin Fang smiled and said, I'm glad you like it, Farong. After a pause, she added, I didn't know Big Sister would be here today, so I didn't prepare a gift for her. I hope she won't mind. This was directed at Su Lian. Su Lian wasn't going to get angry with Lin Fang over this, but she felt even more so that Lin Fang wasn't fit to be the stepmother of Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi. She was too common. Su Lian smiled and said, You're too kind. Then she turned to Shangguan Dehui and said, Dehui, can I speak to you for a minute? Although Su Fan had long passed away, Shangguan Dehui has always respected this sister of his wife. Otherwise, he wouldn't have invited Su Lian to such an important occasion. Lin Fang stared at the retreating figures of the two. Did she underestimate Su Lian's standing in the Shangguan family? Take a drink, don't mind her. Shangguan Farong poured tea for Lin Fang. All right, thank you. Seeing Shangguan Farong, Lin Fang's anxious heart gradually calmed down. Shangguan Dehui followed Su Lian into the yard. Su Lian got straight to the point. Dehui, I don't agree with you being with Lin Fang. Shangguan Dehui was stunned. Why? Su Lian continued, the Shangguan family is of high status. You're a professor, Xiaoxiu is a bank president, Xiaoxi is a postgraduate student. Lin Fang is too narrow-minded, can't hold the stage, she will shame you and Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi. Sister, do you have any misconceptions about Lin Fang? Shangguan Dehui asked. I'm speaking the truth anyway, I disagree with this. Su Lian was very firm. Su Lian, are you upset because Lin Fang didn't give you a gift? Shangguan Farong joined the conversation. Do I look like that kind of person? Su Lian turned to look at Shangguan Farong. Chapter 522, The Luxury Dream of Lin Fang and Her Daughter Shattered 3. Shangguan Farong laughed and said, I think they look quite alike. Su Lian was overly fond of poking her nose into other people's business. Throughout these years, she interfered in everything regarding Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, behaving as if the Shangguan family would mistreat these two children. That's why Shangguan Farong had never liked Su Lian. Su Lian frowned slightly. That Lin Fang at first glance doesn't look like someone who is content and suited for a family-oriented life. I would agree if she becomes the wife of the Shangguan family, but if she is to become the mother of Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi, I would be the first to disagree. A mocking look appeared between Shangguan Farong's brows. Sister Su Lian, before you said that, did you ask Xiaoxi and Xiaoxiu how they feel? As far as I know, both of them really like Lin Fang. Her words imply that Su Lian was being nosy. After all, the main parties, Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, hadn't said anything yet. Was it Su Lian's turn to have a say? A shade of displeasure flashed across Su Lian's face. Shangguan Farong continued, "Brother, I think Lin Fang is quite good, and Xiaoxu and Xiaoxi both seem to like her too." Su Lian chose not to say anything more. Shangguan Dehui followed up, "Let's wait until Mom and Xiaoxu come back. I will go by Mom's decision." One was his wife's sister and the other was his sister. It wouldn't be good for Shangguan Dehui to offend either of them. Shangguan Farong laughed and said, "I believe Mom would also like Lin Fang and Jianghu." The group returned to the living room. Shangguan Farong subtly gave Lin Fang a reassuring look. Only then did Lin Fang relax. At that moment, footsteps echoed in the room. "Mom's back." Shangguan Farong stood up. Lin Fang and Jianghu also stood up. The old lady of the Shangguan family had dressed specially in an elegant dress, brought by Ni Yang a couple of days ago, to meet her future daughter-in-law. Despite feeling a bit of a headache in the morning, it didn't affect her complexion. Shangguan Su held her arm as they slowly walked into the room. Since Jianghu had taken an overt interest in Shangguan Su, she had been watching him all along and didn't notice the old lady of the Shangguan family beside him. Shangguan Su was very handsome. He was extraordinarily talented and elegant. He was even more impressive looking than the most desirable guy in their school, and Jianghu gazed at him almost obsessively. Su Lian looked over with a dismissive gaze, a hint of displeasure flashed in her eyes. These mother and daughter really have unrestrained ambitions. She hoped that the elderly lady of the Shangguan family would see this clearly. They couldn't let these kinds of people step into the Shangguan family's threshold. Lin Fang looked at the old lady of the Shangguan family, slightly frowning. Why did she get the feeling that this old lady looked familiar? Had she seen her somewhere before? After all, they had only met at the clothing store 2 days ago, and she had been solely focused on Ni Yang at the time. She barely paid any attention to the old lady of the Shangguan family. It was normal for her to not remember her after 2 days. Could it be her imagination? A grand old lady like the one from the Shangguan family wasn't someone she would typically encounter. "Mom, this is your future daughter-in-law Lin Fang. This is her daughter, Jianghu." Shangguan Farong held the old lady of the Shangguan family's arm, introducing them. In fact, even before they met, the old lady already had a good impression of Lin Fang, otherwise she wouldn't have dressed so formally. "Old lady." Lin Fang greeted with a smile. Only then did Jianghu snap out of it, diverting her attention from Shangguan Su and said politely, "Grandma." Upon seeing her, Jianghu also found the old lady of the Shangguan family somewhat familiar. Had she encountered this old lady somewhere? The old lady of the Shangguan family was advanced in age, and her eyesight wasn't so great. She hadn't gotten a good look at Lin Fang and Jianghu from a distance earlier, so she now used this opportunity to take a closer look at these mother and daughter. Upon seeing them, the smile on the old lattice face froze in place. Lin Fang and Jianghu might not remember her, but she vividly remembered Lin Fang and Jianghu. After all, this mother and daughter were the first outrageous people she had encountered in her life. The type that nearly infuriated her to death. However, the old lady never expected that this mother and daughter would turn out to be her eagerly anticipated future daughter-in-law and granddaughter. How infuriating. The old lady suppressed her anger, her face cold. She said, "So you are Lin Po's niece, Lin Fang?" Lin Fang was somewhat perplexed by the sudden change in the grand old lattice attitude. Could it be that this old woman was mentally unstable? Chapter 523. Lin Fang and her daughter's dream of living in luxury shattered under. Mingming was laughing just a second ago. Even though Lin Fang didn't want to go out of her way to please someone who was ignoring her, she still had to put on a smile and woo the Shangguan family's matriarch. "Madam, my name is Lin Fang. Lin Hohad is my aunt," she said. Lin Fang was confident in her charm. She believed she could win over this old woman. "Madam, I heard from my aunt that you're in your 60s going on 70s, but you don't look a day over 40 or 50, she praised. Who doesn't enjoy a good compliment? If there's one skill Lin Fang lacks not, it's flattery. She knows exactly what everyone wants to hear. It's comparable to the old saying, speak the language of the listener. If the matriarch hadn't met Lin Fang at the clothing market, she would probably have been quite fond of this eloquent potential daughter-in-law. But now all she felt was disdain. The old lady frowned and said nothing. The smile on Lin Fang's face began to falter. Sensing the mood growing tense, Shangguan Shi hurriedly intervened. "Grandma, You must be tired after just coming back from the hospital, right? Please take a seat. While speaking, she winked at Lin Fang. Madam, Lin Fang hastily interjected, there's nothing seriously wrong with you, is there? When I heard you'd gone to the hospital, I was beside myself with worry. So, did you die? Asked the old lady, looking at Lin Fang. Lin Fang, the atmosphere immediately plunged into awkward silence. Even Lin Fang, who was usually so suave and adept at handling social situations, found herself struggling to keep up. Didn't the old woman Lin say that Shangguan Farong was the most difficult person in the Shangguan family to get along with? Why was this old woman also so difficult to deal with? Shangguan Farong was unsure why her mother had suddenly changed her tune. She had seemed quite pleased with Lin Fang initially. Mom, Shangguan Farong began, Lin Fang is a very filial person and she's even brought you a gift. That's right. Lin Fang confirmed, simultaneously unwrapping the present. Madam, this is a garment Xiaoya picked out for you. I'm not sure if it'll fit. The old lady glanced at the garment. True to her suspicions, it was the burgundy silk shirt. Shangguan's matriarch took the shirt, and a hint of a smile played across her lips. This shirt is made of real silk, isn't it? Seeing that the old lady finally smiled, Lin Fang felt a wave of relief wash over her. She flattered, Madam, you have excellent taste. This is indeed made of silk. You maintain your figure so well, I'm sure you'll look great in this shirt. Shangguan Farong hastily said, That's true, Mom. This shirt really matches your temperament. The smile on the old lattice face quickly faded as she tossed the shirt onto the table, scoffing, I'm just a small business owner. I can't afford such flashy clothes. At those words, Lin Fang's face drained of color, leaving her as pale as a ghost. Now she finally understood why the old woman seemed so familiar. She was the same one she had encountered at the mall last time. Didn't they say that Ni Yang was just a small business owner with no real status or wealth? So why was she walking arm in arm with the old lady from the Shangguan family? And why were the two of them so intimate with each other? Lin Fang couldn't have imagined in her wildest dreams that the old lady she had mocked before was none other than Shangguan's matriarch herself. If she had known that was the matriarch earlier, she would have been nothing but polite and done everything to make her happy. The reactions of Jianghu and Lin Fang were identical. Her first thought was that she was doomed. Her second thought was that Ni Yang was trying to sabotage her. If it weren't for Ni Yang, she would never have made such a mistake. What should she do now? Baffled by the situation, Shangguan Farong asked, Mom, what are you talking about? Why are you upset all of a sudden? Exactly why was she suddenly so angry? Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi both turned their eyes to their grandmother. Even Shangguan Dehui was a bit puzzled. The old lady was usually very amiable with them and had never been so difficult to talk to before. The matriarch waved off Shangguan Furong's hand and turned to Shangguan Dehui. Dehui, she declared, I object to your association with this Lin Fang comrade. Before Shangguan Dehui could utter a word, Shangguan Farong demanded, Mom, you must be joking, right? Lin Fang is so talented and filial. How can you possibly object to that? Could Su Lian have been stirring the pot? Otherwise, considering the old lattice manners and etiquette, even if she truly objected, she would never humiliate Lin Fang in public. Chapter 524. Lin Fang and her daughter's dream of living in luxury shattered under. Shangguan Farong looked at Su Lian, a displeased light surfacing in her eyes. Mom, I think Lin Fang and my brother make a good match. Why not finalize the date today? If Su Lian did not agree, she would deliberately go against Su Lian. Upon hearing this, Lin Fang cast a grateful look at Shangguan Farong. She wasn't sure if Shangguan Farong could actually save her. Do you have any right to speak here? The old lady Shangguan looked at Shangguan Farong, her face filled with anger. Shangguan Farong suddenly fell silent, her face looking a bit unwell. Ever since she got married, the old lady Shangguan had rarely shown her any unpleasant expression. She did not expect that today she would treat her like this. The old lady Shangguan then said, Butler. Coming. The butler immediately walked over. Escort out comrade Lin Fang and her daughter. The Lin family does not welcome these kinds of people. The old lady Shangguan did not leave any face for Lin Fang and her daughter. Yes, old lady. The butler turned to look at Lin Fang and Jianghu. Both of you, please. Wait a minute. The old lady Shangguan continued. Do you have any other orders, old lady? The butler turned back. Take their things as well. The old lady Shangguan continued. The butler immediately took the two items brought by Lin Fang. Lin Fang still felt unwilling. As she turned around, she walked over and grabbed the old lady's hand, explaining with a pale face, "The old lady, let me explain, that day it really was a misunderstanding, I am not actually—" "Go away." The old lady Shangwan was not a fool. How could she tolerate Lin Fang distorting the truth again? "Butler?" "Yes, old lady." The butler immediately motioned to the other servants on the side. Before Lin Fang could react, she was already dragged away by the servants, leaving Shangguan Dehui, Shangguan Furong, Shangguan Shi, and Shangguan Su filled with doubt. But currently the old lady Shangguan was furious and none of them dared to speak. "Dehui, come upstairs with me." After speaking, the old lady Shangguan turned and walked toward the study room upstairs. Shangguan Dehui hurried to follow her steps. "Mom, what exactly is going on?" Shangguan Dehui hesitated before asking. The old lady Shangguan continued, "Are you asking me why I treated Lin Fang this way?" Shangguan Dehui nodded. The old lady Shangguan continued, "Then let me tell you properly, sit down first." Shangguan Dehui sat on a nearby stool. Only then did the old lady Shangguan talk about the incident that happened at the clothing market 2 days ago. "Dehui, you cannot be deceived by that Lin Fang, a woman like that is not qualified to step through the gates of our Shangguan family." At her words, Shangguan Dehui frowned slightly. "Lin Fang always appeared to be very good in front of me, showing much love and care. I really didn't think she was this kind of person." The old lady Shangguan now felt extremely relieved about her decision to go to the clothing market that day, otherwise, they would not have discovered that Lin Fang and her daughter were these kinds of people. "It's not too late to know, it's better to break off with her early." Shangguan Dehui nodded, "You can rest assured about this." The old lady Shangguan rubbed her temples. "All right, you can go downstairs now, I need to rest." Shangguan Dehui walked downstairs. As soon as he went downstairs, everyone eagerly surrounded him. "Bro, what did Mom tell you? What did she mean? How did Lin Fang offend her to make her so angry? Or is someone intentionally causing discord?" The last sentence had some biting implication attached. Su Lian was somewhat unhappy, but she did not stoop down to Furong's level. Shangguan Dehui said, "Furong, watch your tone. No one is causing discord on purpose. This is Mom's own decision, and considering Lin Fang's character, she truly does not deserve to be the wife of our Shangguan family." Shangguan Shi, confused, said, "Dad, what exactly happened? What did Auntie Lin do wrong?" Shangguan Dehui then relayed the incident mentioned by the old lady Shangguan. Upon hearing this, the room fell silent. After a while, Shangguan Shi finally spoke, "Ah, so Aunt Lin is that kind of person. I really didn't see it coming." Lady Shangguan was neither deaf nor blind, and she wouldn't speak without reason. Could it be that Mother has misunderstood? Didn't Lin Fang herself say that there's been a misunderstanding? Mother, really, she didn't even let Lin Fang explain. How can you be so arbitrary? Shangguan Furong asserted. Lin Fang, this sister-in-law, was quite pleasing to Shangguan Fufang's eyes. First, her family background was admirable, as was her work. Secondly, she knew how to get along with people, she knew who were her own and who were outsiders. People like Su Lian were outsiders to her. Shangguan Furong cared a lot about her position in the Shangguan family. She didn't want Shangguan Dehui to marry a woman who didn't regard her highly. What if that woman was domineering? Then would she not have any say in the Shangguan family? Mother is not that kind of person. Shangguan Dehui added, "Let's put an end to this matter, I will also explain it to Lin Fang." After all, Shangguan Dehui didn't have any emotional attachment towards Lin Fang. With such a thing happening, it had rather eased Shangguan Dehui's mind. At least, old lady Shangguan wouldn't hurriedly push him for quite some time. "Brother, are you just giving up on Lin Fang?" Shangguan Furong wasn't quite ready to give in. Shangguan Dehui simply nodded. "Dehui, I'm very glad that you see the reality." Su Lian walked over from the side. "I've been saying that Lin Fang is not a good person." Shangguan Furong couldn't stand Su Lian's smug expression at her success. "Sister Su Lian, are you happy now?" "I'm just being honest. Of course, I'm naturally happy to keep Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi away from such a terrible stepmother." Su Lian's family background was not bad either, she was not afraid of Shangguan Furong. She just didn't bother to quarrel with Shangguan Furong, because she knew Shangguan Furong, as an aunt, truly cared for Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi. Shangguan Furong simply couldn't stand her, but since she didn't live in the Shangguan house, she didn't need to take it to heart. The more Shangguan Furong thought about it, the more outraged she felt. "I think Lin Fang is quite suitable to be my sister-in-law, he'll go upstairs and talk to my mother now." Lady Shangguan had this one precious daughter, and usually she listened to her daughter's words the most. Beijing is a very inclusive city, and it is home to people from all over the country. Although it was Wednesday, there was no shortage of people queuing up to apply for passports. Yang had been in the queue for more than an hour, and there were still about 20 or 30 people in front of her. Tsuehua sat on the bench nearby, holding little Yun in her arms, waiting for her. "Little girl, what's the relation between that woman holding the kid and you?" The middle-aged woman in line behind Yang curiously asked her. "That's my mother, and the baby she's holding is my sister," Yang replied. The middle-aged woman was startled, then said, "No wonder you guys look so alike. Turns out you're mother and daughter." "Yes." Yang nodded. "You're also going to M country?" The middle-aged woman continued. "Yes. I'm also going to M country." The middle-aged woman excitedly said, "We're really destined to meet, my girl. You must be going to M country to study abroad, aren't you?" "I'm going to M country to visit my son." This was the period when studying abroad was becoming popular. Rich families would choose to send their children to get an overseas experience, even if studying in a lesser-known college overseas was much better than studying in a famous college at home. Those were returnees. Could average college graduates compete with them? The middle-aged woman saw that Yang was pretty and dressed well, so she guessed that Yang was definitely going abroad to study. Yang faintly smiled. "We're not studying abroad." "Then what are you guys going abroad for?" "We're going abroad for a vacation," Yang replied softly. Chapter 525. My son has gone abroad, he is so amazing. _1 Going abroad for a vacation. At this time, although the trend of going overseas was just emerging, most people were going to work or study abroad. Those who went for a vacation were really few. That's why when Yin just said she wasn't going for studies, the older woman subconsciously thought she was going to work abroad. It was really something to lament about, thinking how she was going out to work at such a young age. Turns out she's going for a vacation. The middle-aged woman went on, "Little girl, you are really a good and filial daughter. When are you planning to depart?" Yin smiled and said, "We're probably leaving the day after tomorrow." The middle-aged woman said, "If nothing unexpected happens, I might also be on the plane the day after tomorrow. If we happen to meet, we can go together." Yin nodded, "Sure." The crowd gradually surged, and it was the middle-aged woman's turn soon, followed by Yan's. Not only Tsuehua and Yin needed to get their passports, little Yun also had to receive hers. Getting a passport requires taking photos. This was the first time Tsuehua was getting photographed. She was a bit nervous seeing the others take photos, not knowing where to put her hands. Yin took little Yun from Quihua's arms. "Mom, it's just a photo, you don't need to be nervous." Not nervous." Tsuehua nodded, walking to the light blue curtain. "Smile," the photographer reminded. Tsuehua smiled. Age 37, she had taken good care of herself over the past year. Her skin appeared smooth and moisturized, her figure also well-toned. Wearing a light blue plaid suit with black pants, she didn't look her age. You wouldn't think she's the mother of 2 children. Yes, just like that, hold that pose." The camera captured the perfect moment. The photographer also silently admired Quihua's beauty. Tsuehua quickly came out to replace Yin. The photographer, who was still in awe over Quihua's beauty, was stunned when he saw Yin. "Oh my goodness. She is so beautiful. Just sitting there, her face needs no expression to be the most appealing sight." After Yin left, the photographer and the staff discussed, "The young lady just now was so beautiful, what's her name?" The staff checked the file in his hand. "Her name is Yin. The woman who took photos before her seems to be her mother." No wonder both mother and daughter are so beautiful. It's probably what they call genes in biology. After successfully completing their passports, the mother and daughter left the police station. Yin brought Tsuehua to the home appliance market. "Yang, why are we here?" Tsuehua was a bit curious. "To buy a camera." Yin replied. "Why do we need that?" "To take photos." Yin grinned. "Mom, we're going on a vacation. Of course we should buy a camera." Tsuehua nodded. Chapter 526. My son has gone abroad, he is so amazing. _2. Let me take a look at the camera. Yang continued. The employee handed over the camera to Yang. The Nikon FM2S body is indeed quite compact. It has very clear pixels and can take both black and white and color pictures. Yang made the payment to the employee after confirming that the camera was all right. Stepping out of the store, Yang randomly took a few shots of the street, then turned to Tsuehua and said, "Mom, I'll take a picture of you and Yun too. There's nothing worth photographing." Tsuehua was a bit embarrassed. "Just one picture, it's no big deal." Yang lifted the camera and took a shot. Yang then put the camera around Kuihua's neck and took little Yun from her. "Mom, can you take a picture of Yun and me?" Tsuehua laughingly said, "I don't know how to." Yang replied, "I'll teach you, it's very simple." Cameras from the 80s only had two functions, taking photos and recording videos. Tsuehua, being an intelligent woman, learned it in a single attempt. Yang, move a bit to the side, and Yun, give us a smile. Little Yun immediately broke into a grin. After taking the picture, Tsuehua exclaimed, "People nowadays are really capable, they even invented cameras." Yang laughed. "Cameras were not invented recently, they've been around since the late Qing dynasty. The first one was just a light-proof box. In 1906, American George Shiras was the first to use a flashlight, and in 1913, a German man by the name of Oskar Barnack developed the world's first 135 camera." Tsuehua exclaimed in surprise, "So cameras existed even before I was born?" "Yes." Yang nodded. Tsuehua had only known about farming in the first half of her life. She was completely unaware of China's rapid development. If it hadn't been for her family making her work in the fields to earn work points, she might have had her feet bound. After buying the camera, Yen went to 4 noodle restaurants and a milk tea shop, collected the day's earnings and went to deposit it at the bank. "Miss Ni has arrived." The teller was already familiar with Yang. "Sister Tian." The counter lady, Xianxia, was 22 years old, a little older than Yang. "Are you making a deposit today?" Xianxia asked. "Yes." Yang handed the inconspicuous plastic bag to Xianxia. Yang was probably the most calm depositor Xianxia had ever seen. Every time she came to deposit, she would carry the money in an old plastic bag, as if it was filled with useless waste paper instead of money. Unlike some other depositors who, even with only a few hundred yuan, would wrap their money in several layers, their level of anxiety made it seem like everyone was out to rob them. After counting all the money, Xianxia continued, "Miss Ni, there's a total of 40,000 yuan. "Yes." Yang nodded. "Also, help me exchange 3,000 yuan into USD. So that's 24,000 yuan in RMB? Xianxia asked uncertainly. "Yes." After exchanging the money into USD, Xianxia asked further, "Miss Ni, are you planning a trip to M country?" Yang gave a slight smile. "Yes, I'm planning to go for a few days." Xianxia expressed her jealousy. "It's so good to be rich. You can travel wherever you want." Although Yang was a private enterprise owner, she was richer than any of those with a secure job. Those with stable jobs may seem better off and respected, but they are not as free as individual entrepreneurs. Furthermore, Xianxia had a gut feeling that in the future, people's perception of individual entrepreneurs would definitely change. Lin Fang didn't know how she got home. She was devastated, seeing herself on the verge of marrying into a wealthy family, yet such a thing had to happen at a crucial moment. "It's all your fault, you wretched girl. If it wasn't for you picking on that entrepreneur, would Madame Shangguan have such a big issue with me? I've told you many times, don't stir up trouble. If you want to make trouble for yourself, at least don't drag me into it." Furious, Lin Fang slapped Jianghu hard across the face. Jianghu's face immediately turned red and swollen from the slap, making a horrifying sight. "It's all Yang's fault, blame that little bitch." Holding her face, Jianghu angrily cursed at Yang, blaming all her failures on her. If it wasn't for Yang, she would never have offended Madame Shangguan. "And you dare to blame others." Lin Fang landed another slap on Jianghu's other cheek. "If it wasn't for you, I would be discussing marriage with Shangguan Dehui now." Chapter 527, My son has gone abroad, he is so amazing. _3. Lin Fang is such a person. When nothing happens, she is as kind as a loving mother could be. But when things go wrong, she turns her back on everyone. If it harms Lin Fang's interests, even a mother-daughter relationship won't prevent her from being merciless. "I'm sorry, Mom, I'm sorry." Blood trickled from Jianghu's mouth, distorting her words. Go stand facing the wall and reflect on your actions. Lin Fang pointed at the wall. Go now. Jianghu walked to the wall, knelt down and began to self-reflect. At that moment there was a knock on the door. Lin Fang tidied her hair and went to open the door. The visitor was Grandma Lin, who couldn't wait to say, Fang Fang, what happened? Is the matter settled? It's off. Lin Fang's face looked very unpleasant. Off. Grandma Lin was amazed. It was supposed to be a done deal. Why would it fall through? With that said, she noticed Jianghu kneeling by the wall and asked, Why is Xiaoya still kneeling there? Have you punished her? You ask her yourself what good things she has done. Grandma Lin sighed. No matter what she has done, you can't punish her like this. As she said this, she walked up to Jianghu and exclaimed in surprise, What happened to Xiaoya's face? Fang Fang, did you hit her? Hitting her was a light punishment. I wish I could throttle her. Lin Fang was burning with anger and couldn't control her temper. You can't say such things. Grandma Lin helped Jianghu up and reassured her. Get up, Xiaoya, don't be afraid, your mom is just joking. Without Lin Fang giving the order, Jianghu didn't dare to get up. Grandma Lin went on, Fang Fang, what exactly happened? You ask her. Lin Fang sneered at Jianghu. Xiaoya, tell Aunt Grandma what exactly happened? Grandma Lin looked at Jianghu. Jianghu only cried and refused to utter a word. How was she supposed to explain? It was Ni Yang who wanted to harm her, but Lin Fang didn't believe her and even beat her. Why won't Ni Yang just die? Lin Fang angrily said, Just now weren't you asking me why things fell through? It's all thanks to this damn girl. Lin Fang wished she could slap Jianghu again. Grandma Lin said, Fang Fang, calm down, let's talk slowly. As far as she saw it, how could a child's mistake affect the dealings between adults? The Shangguan family was probably trying to scare Lin Fang. Once she apologized to Grandma Shangguan, everything would be fine again. After all, the Shangguan family had been so satisfied with Lin Fang before. Under Grandma Lin's persuasion, Lin Fang gradually calmed down. Auntie, I'm even embarrassed to talk about this incident. This wretched girl truly is a menace. Speak up, then I can figure out what to do. Lin Fang sighed and recounted the incident that happened in the clothing market. Hearing the course of events again made Jianghu tremble with anger. Chapter 528. My son has gone abroad, he is so amazing. _4. Yes. Lin Fang nodded. Old Lady Lin continued, Tomorrow morning bring the ice-skin jade along, we'll pay a visit to Shangguan Furong's house together. Hearing this, Lin Fang immediately found her backbone. All right, Auntie, I'll listen to you. Old Lady Lin nodded. You're not allowed to hit children anymore, do you understand? Lin Fang sighed. Xiaoya is my daughter, you think I wanted to hit her? I was just too angry. No matter how angry you are, you cannot hit your child in such a way. Old Lady Lin said. Okay, I get it. Lin Fang went over to help Jianghu up, looking at her swollen face. With a twinge of heartache she asked, Xiaoya, are you okay? I'm okay. Jianghu shook her head. The next day, accompanied by Old Lady Lin, Lin Fang paid a visit to the Zhao family home. Shangguan Furong's husband's family, the Zhao family, were also wealthy. Their villa was no less splendid than the Shangguan family's residence. After the servant announced their arrival, Old Lady Lin and Lin Fang waited for quite some time before meeting Shangguan Furong. Old Lady Lin, what brings you here? Shangguan Furong emerged from her house. Furong. Lin Fang immediately approached. Shangguan Furong looked up at Lin Fang, her eyes revealing disappointment at Lin Fang's lack of coping skills. She had high hopes for her sister-in-law. Lin Fang was beautiful, her family background was good, her job was decent, and she was good at being sociable. Who would know that Lin had managed to upset the matriarch of the Shangguan family? Shangguan Furong tried to mediate for a long time, but the old lady was not giving in, she was at a loss for what to do. Shangguan Furong did not mince words. If you're here about that matter, you might as well not mention it. My mother has made up her mind, 10 oxen could not pull it back. Old Lady Lin laughed. In all of Beijing, who doesn't know that the old lady listens to you? If you put in a few good words for us, perhaps the old lady might agree. This statement was somewhat flattering and Shangguan Furong was very pleased to hear it. It's useless, although my mother listens to me, she's not a puppet on a string and won't listen to everything I say. Old Lady Lin sighed. In reality, Xiaoya was under the influence of others that day, she's not usually like that. Could you help explain a bit? Whether the old lady listens or not doesn't matter, just as long as you help clarify things. Fang Fang is too innocent. If I had been there yesterday, I would not have let the old lady have such a deep misunderstanding. For this matter, we're counting on you. We're leaving first. Old Lady Lin put the gift box of ice skin jade on the table and led Lin Fang out. Wait. Shangguan Furong spoke again. Old Lady Lin and Lin Fang stopped in their tracks. Take your stuff with you. Shangguan Furong indicated the gift box on the table. Old Lady Lin laughed. Once a gift is given, how could it be taken back? Please accept it. Even if Fang Fang can't become your sister-in-law, you two could still become friends. Although Shangguan Furong quite liked ice skin jade, she knew when to be practical. Take it back. I don't like repeating things several times. If she accepted the gift, it would change the nature of the conversation. Hearing this, Old Lady Lin had no choice but to take the gift box back. A fleeting shadow passed over Lin Fang's eyes. Watching their retreating figures, Shangguan Furong spoke again. Regarding my mother, I will try to explain a few things for you. As for whether it will work, that's up to my mother. Shangguan Furong was truly satisfied with Lin Fang because Lin Fang was easy to control. In this day and age, it was quite difficult to find such a pliable person. Her previous sister-in-law, Su Fen, had not been so accommodating, which was why Shangguan Furong didn't like her very much. Lin Fang was overjoyed. Thank you, Furong. Shangguan Furong said, until things are settled, you should call me Mrs. Zhao. A hint of embarrassment flashed across Lin Fang's face. All right, Mrs. Zhao. As the two of them left the Zhao family home, Lin Fang turned to Old Lady Lin. Auntie, do you think there's still hope for this matter? It's hard to say. Old Lady Lin said, judging by Shangguan Furong's attitude, the old Mrs. Shangguan is truly angry this time. Lin Fang sighed. Old Lady Lin continued, don't be too upset. I'll keep an eye out for other prospects for you during this time. We can't hang ourselves on one tree. Lin Fang nodded. With Lin Fang's current conditions, it would not be difficult for her to marry, but if she wanted to find another wealthy family like the Shangguans, it would be a bit more challenging. It was only 8:30 then, still an hour until boarding time, so Nai Yang and Nai Tsuehua made themselves comfortable in the waiting area. There were a lot of people in the waiting area. Little Nai Yun was at the airport for the first time, extremely excited, continuously babbling, but nobody understood what she was saying. Nai Yang was sitting in the third row and could clearly hear the conversation of two aunties nearby. My son is really amazing. He's a sophomore at the foreign language university and there are countless girls throwing themselves at him. Look, this bracelet I'm wearing, it was a gift from that little girl. The thought of the plane suddenly falling from such a height was terrifying. It's too horrifying. Mom, look outside the window. At her words, Nai Tsuehua turned her gaze out of the window. The outside view was spectacular with a clear blue sky and fluffy white clouds, creating an irresistible urge to fling open the window and rush out. Nai Tsuehua never imagined that she'd be on a plane one day. There is an old saying, why don't you just go to heaven? And now she was literally in the heavens. It's so beautiful. The scenery outside successfully distracted Nai Tsuehua from her fear of the plane crashing. Nai Yang took off little Nai Yun's shoes, allowing her to stand barefoot on the seat and look out the window. Even though the view was magnificent, it could become monotonous after a while. Barely an hour later, the cabin was filled with light snores. The flight to M country took a total of 12 hours. When Nai Yang woke up, it was mealtime. The airplane offered free lunch. It wasn't until 6:30 a.m. local time that they arrived at the Miami airport. Shisua Island was only 40 kilometers away. But since they couldn't book a hotel online, they would have to take a cab and find a hotel locally once they exited the airport. Luckily, Nai Yang had visited Shisua Island several times in her past life and wasn't unfamiliar with it. Even though the Shisua Island in this life was somewhat different from the one in her past, the general routes remained the same. You're tuning in to the Phantom Sword Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.